20 years battling him at Inferno just to get betrayed by his own squad. They figured he'd get taken out so they could steal all the glory. Big mistake on their part. And that's where it gets crazy. He was already the most OP beast in that realm. After putting those fakes in their place, all he wanted was to head back to Earth. Waking up, he's stuck in the body of a kid considered bottom tier trash. What's worse, our planet got swallowed up by the apocalypse too. Slept on and ignored by everyone, he decides he's done playing nice, awakening the paradox flame, a forbidden power that wipes out existence itself. This rookie is going to show humanity the absolute terror of you dropping a like on this video. 20 years trapped in another world, and today's the day to beat the boss and save everybody. Suddenly, a massive blast of fire swallows the whole place, and to the smoke, a creepy figure slowly emerges. The beast shows itself, praising our hero for surviving the heat. Mocking him, the monster claims our boy's party is already on his last legs. Without dropping his guard, the MC claps back that the creature is running on fumes too. Furious at the disrespect, the villain charges up a heavy attack with a roar. He doesn't even blink, just grips his spear tight for an all-or-nothing clash. Right then, the two of them rush forward in an insane collision. Behind them, the kid squad is struggling to hold the magic barrier. Losing its mind, the monster warns it's gonna flatten the hero if he doesn't give up. Then, the creature unleashes a brutal strike, screaming that it rules this world. Standing his ground, the old man faces that overwhelming power head-on. That impact lands right on our MC, who tries to block it with his spear. Even so, he tightens his grip on the weapon, ready to strike back. Overflowing with mana, the boy announces playtime is over. A surreal glow starts wrapping around his body. And that's where it gets crazy. He drops 100% of his strength all at once. That flash completely blinds everyone in the room. In the middle of the chaos, the protagonist triggers his secret technique, the paradox flame. The recoil from the spell is so heavy it launches him backward. Quickly, he digs his feet into the ground to keep from flying away. Engulfing the monster, the blast kicks up a massive dust cloud. Shocked, the creature stares at the aftermath of the strike. Yoon-Sulk stares right back with this badass smirk. Wasting no time, the villain rushes in with a heavy punch, but he dodges. Right after that, sharp claws come tearing through the air. But our boy has the reflexes and blocks it all, using the shaft of his spear. The force of the blow still pushes him back, pulling a groan of pain from him. Laughing it off, the beast jokes that the hit only tickled. His fists clenched. The kid fires back the same question with heavy sarcasm. Next, he points his flaming blade straight at the enemy's face, and flat out tells him that's more than enough to put the beast in the dirt. Out of nowhere, a creepy magic seal pops up right in front of the boss. Sinking into the ground, the mark locks in right under the monster. With that, a burst of energy shoots up and instantly traps the creature. Pinned down, the beast admits it never expected to sweat this much against a human. Our MC quickly cuts him off, reminding him he doesn't belong in this place. Chuckling, the beast warns that if it falls, the earth just absorbs its body and it revives. No one saw that coming. The creature suddenly freezes in pure shock. Panicking, the monster realizes it's fading away while the hero confirms the damage. He explains that this fire burns concepts in history, not oxygen, meaning the fuel for those flames is the beast's very existence. Seeing the end approach, the creature curses him, swearing no one will remember the hero, because his own squad is just waiting for him to kick the bucket. Super chill, our MC says he already knew, leaving the villain completely speechless. The Saintess tries to deny it, but he calls her out on her fake love act. In reality, she's disgusted by him being an outsider, and her flirting was just a dirty scheme. Their whole plan was to keep him tame so they could stab him in the back at the end. Looking straight at the girl, he drops a cold. "Am I lying, Saintess?" Trapped, she freezes up and starts cold sweating, unable to deny a thing. Hyun-Sob turns his back and states the other two are exactly the same trash. He exposes that the cowardly emperor paid the knight to wipe the hero out. As for the mage, a fan of creepy experiments, he just hated the MC for opposing slavery. Finally, the old man reveals he's known about this whole betrayal for 5 years. Fading away slowly, the villain can't figure out why he didn't just destroy the world. The answer is simple. The guy just wanted a ticket back home. Mind blown by this humility, the beast repeats his words in disbelief. Then we flash back 20 years. Back on Earth, the MC was just a 30-year-old worker. Except he fell into a chaotic place, and no matter how hard he tried, there was no way back. Fighting was his only way out, so he spent 20 years training non-stop. In a flashback scene, some guards try to block his path, but they get a rude awakening. He holds up a kid he saved and asks nicely for passage to the shelter. But one guard says the kid is beyond saving and ain't worth the medicine. Looking back, the real nightmare nightmare was something else, with screams echoing in the background. Medical care there was pure garbage. They wanted to amputate a leg just for an infection. Since the healers were on the front lines, there was zero help for the wounded folks. Back to the rescue, they call for the hero, who still has a serious scowl. Right then, some religious types question the miracle, but something way worse happens. These clowns start freaking out, claiming the kid is possessed and want to exorcise him. To make things worse, they threaten the MC, who only feels disgust for these heartless people. Cutting to the present, he realizes he finally cleansed that sick world. Beaten to a pulp, he lets out a sigh of relief, saying, "The mission is done." Right after, the fake knight walks up laughing, saying it's time to tie up loose ends. Staring down the human trash, the MC tells him straight up he's sick of living there. The traitor just curses him out, boiling with rage at that answer. Suddenly, he realizes his own body stopped moving, figuring out the MC became the real monster. Brushing it off, Hyun-Sok takes a deep breath, letting out some heavy air. Man, in this moment he screams at the sky, demanding payment for doing the dirty work. Instantly, a beam drops from the clouds, leaving everybody speechless. That flash hits the ground with cracked power, blinding everyone. Out of nowhere, a blonde goddess shows up, putting on a fake act to congratulate him. But the MC cuts straight to the chase, demanding his memory and soul stay intact. On top of that, he demands a one-way ticket straight back to Earth. The deity tries to stall, warning him he'd lose all his OP powers over there. Smirking with pure sass, the old man doesn't even flinch. He tells her to drop the act, knowing the goddess just wants to get rid of him. Acting all innocent, she puts on a sad face and asks if he's sure. Zero hesitation, he makes it clear he just wants his normal life back, and that's it. Then he drops his spear for good, proving he's done fighting. The blonde accepts the deal, and he feels the relief of leaving that nightmare behind. Looking at his bruised hands, the reality of resting finally hits him. While his body turns into light, the goddess mentions his soul is going to a new body. Our hero finds the chat weird, but she just says it's a guy destined for the trash. Even so, he shrugs it off, saying as long as it's Earth, he'll handle the rest. And just like that, everything changed. A light switch clicking breaks the dark silence. The boy wakes up in bed and realizes he's in the year 2025. Chuckling, he curses out the squad from the other world, stoked he'll never see them again. Right then, he catches a glimpse of a mirror nearby. Surprised, he touches the glass and sees a young kid, realizing this is his brand new look. Staring at his reflection, it finally hits the kid that he's back on Earth. With a massive smile, he washes his face and hypes up the clean water, calling it real magic. Turning on the stove with a single click, he feels relieved he doesn't have to chop wood anymore. He opens his delivery, almost tearing up, saying how much he missed this. Still in disbelief, he stares hard at the food, making sure it's actually fried chicken. Grabbing a piece, his mouth waters, desperate to take that first bite. At the little table, the MC scarfs down the meal with pure joy. And it tastes so good he cries a little, finally experiencing real food again. Clearly moved, he admits he missed this lifestyle more than anything. Leaning on the window, he reflects that he can finally have some peace. But the city changed, and he's stunned to realize it's already 2025. Chan-Sok figures any struggle here is better than that other world. Taking advantage of modern luxury, he goes for a hot shower. To his delight, the water comes out boiling right away, no heating required. Right after, the guy celebrates the cold breeze of the AC turning on with a click. This is the dream life, far away from the nasty place he left behind. Then, he fires up StarCraft to celebrate, but a freaky beast jumps onto the window. Caught completely off guard, he jumps and lets out a yell. Before he can process it, a siren interrupts his gaming session to warn all the residents. They announce a corrosion gate opened in the building, leaving him super confused. Next, they tell everyone to evacuate to the shelter immediately, and his confusion only grows. Changing his stance, he gets serious, realizing this is no joke. Those hairy monsters start piling up against the glass. Bit by bit, the window pane starts to give way. Spotting that, the MC bails out of there instantly. He flies down the stairs, the creatures chasing right behind him. Completely lost, he tries to figure out what kind of monsters these are. The chase doesn't stop, making him even more annoyed with the state of the world. Closing in, the beasts gain ground on the staircase. With no way out, the kid dives through the hole of a broken window. Safely behind the wall, he tries to catch his breath, thinking he lost the threat. But when he peeks out, he bumps into a little kid running down the hall. Chan-Sok tells him to head to the shelter, but the boy asks where the monster went. Acting tough, the kid says he's gonna hunt the creature and asks for backup. Then the truth hits hard. Earth has been in this chaos for 13 years, making our MC swear under his breath. Out of options, he follows the boy, who babbles excitedly about old gates. Playing the teacher, he starts giving a whole lecture on the world's situation. In short, gates are monster doors that open randomly, and the MC just nods along. Inside, anger consumes him, since he escaped one hell right into another. His hatred for the goddess is so deep he just lies to the kid saying he lived in America. Instantly, the little guy thinks that's awesome and drops YouTube gossip about the American president. Changing the subject, the boy asks who his favorite hunter is and immediately yells the name Lee Se-yoon. This woman belongs to the Genevieve Guild, top 10 in the world, and she's on a raid right now. Intrigued, the hero wonders how normal people fight monsters like in the other world, and when the kid praises her giant sword, Chan-sok's face drops in a second. Right in the middle of the boy's hype over the video, the MC covers his mouth by force. Muttering the quiet curse, he spots the threat approaching, leaving the kid confused. The vibe gets heavy when he points at the monsters popping up at the end of the hall. Counting in his head, he spots 6 enemies, including one hiding in the shadows. Luckily, this new body is somewhat strong, so dropping 6 at once is a breeze, but the real problem is the kid, who's crying from fear now and can't be left behind. Completely unarmed, he notices a blue light floating in the air. That weird aura makes our hero wonder if he finally found some mana. Realizing it's exactly like the other world, a risky plan takes shape. Man, right then, an energy shot shatters the mask of one of the beasts. The monster shrieks, confirming that the ambient mana is all the boy needs to fight. Shielding the kid behind him, he pulls that power from the air, proving he's still lethal. A wicked smirk slips out. He realizes the paradox flame still works, even if it's weak. Sure enough, a dark blaze incinerates a whole beast, making the kid behind him cheer. Hyped up, the boy talks about unique skills, dropping the slang they use on Earth. Following internet logic, the little guy runs up to check the kill but gets scolded. With a serious face, the protagonist remembers the worst part of this power. The burning carcass stands up, and he warns that it only goes out when the target turns to ash. Except a red blur flies through the air in a cheap sneak attack. Terrified, the brat jumps at the scene right in front of him. With a clean move, our MC grabs the monster's arm. Holding his ground, he tells the kid to stop watching this garbage. Then he just holds out his hand and asks for the metal bat the kid was using. The makeshift weapon switches hands and gets spun in the air with pure skill. Now it's close combat and he focuses straight on the danger. Done playing around, the former hero plants his feet for the final strike. Swinging the heavy bat, he charges in, slicing through everything in his path. Nothing is left standing. Every hit tears a chunk off the beasts with brutal ease. Yoon Song is locked in, watching it like it's the greatest show of his life. After the show ends, the MC lets out a heavy sigh, and the kid swears he's a secret hero. That nasty metallic smell rises, frustrating the MC who only wanted peace. Furious, he realizes the hell he escaped is now the reality over here too. Arriving at the bunker, they find a crowd huddled up and shivering with fear. The heavy metal doors slowly gives way, showing that it's safe inside. Once inside, he calls the boy a brat, who gets offended by the lack of manners. Just then, a frantic lady shows up screaming the kid's name in the middle of the crowd. She grabs the boy and mutters some thank yous, complaining about his rebellious streak. Checking out her jewelry and designer clothes, he puts 2 and 2 together. They're a rich family, and that's where it gets crazy. A monster's thud makes the shelter's ceiling shake. A massive arm smashes through the reinforced concrete like it's cardboard. From the strike, the pressure blows a bunch of debris away, destroying the safe haven. That freak roars, blowing out their eardrums and flashing teeth the size of machetes. Total despair hits, panic takes over, and people trample each other trying to escape. The little kid trembles and warns that playtime is definitely over and they need to bounce. Ignoring the screaming, the MC thinks his retirement request was super simple. By touching his chest and remembering home, he feels endless bitter frustration. Apparently, fate thinks a life of peace and video games is too much of a luxury. Calling him a brat again, the boy throws a fit, asking him not to use that name. Curious, the hero asks why a rich kid wants to fight instead of hiding. Without blinking, the kid puts on a serious face with some scary conviction. He explains that seeing the armored bunker turn to dust, he realized nowhere is safe. So the goal is simple: conquer his fear, become the strongest guy to end it all. The kid angrily yells that he's gonna save the world, catching our hero off guard. Chuckling quietly, the former hero agrees this brat has a future in the business. But he also drops the harsh truth. Saving the world is a different story, while the family runs away. The mom pulls the kid in a hurry, but Yoon Sung protests, saying the hero stayed behind. Rushing off his tears, she drags her son far away from the danger. Desperate, the little guy screams for the MC while being carried off, but his whole look changes after hearing what comes next. Chan-Sok unleashes his aura and announces he'll handle the job himself. Standing there in shock, the brat keeps repeating the idea of saving the world. With a smirk, the guy warns that saving the world is for veterans. He spent 20 years killing monsters, and right after coming back he runs into a gate. Luckily, that veteran experience saved his skin and secured his promise to the kid. In reality, he didn't do a thing and now spends all day glued to his computer. Suddenly, a victory screen pops up on the monitor, making him jump. Chucking an energy drink, he celebrates the win, finding it way too easy. Pops the tab on the soda and takes a massive gulp. He reflects that his heroic promise to save Earth barely lasted at all. That hero drive lost big time to gaming, good food, and modern world perks. To make things worse, there are already hunters doing this job, so he's just gonna order some takeout. Man, right then he realizes he burned through all the cash of the body's original owner. The problem is, without money, he even tried looking for a normal gig. But with gates popping up everywhere, businesses are going bankrupt, and there are zero openings. Knowing he needs to eat, the kid notices the job market is a total mess. That's when he stumbles on an ad recruiting new hunters on his phone. Chian-Sok pulls up to the Hunter Association since killing beasts is his specialty. Inside, the waiting room is packed with overhyped candidates thinking they already passed. One guy even claims today's test is a breeze. You just need a cool power. Watching from afar, a veteran finds it funny and calls them all small fry. Then, a black-haired hunter walks by and the whole vibe changes instantly. Someone in line even whispers this is the best rookie class in a long time. Shock hits the room when a candidate recognizes the woman. Smoking a pipe, the badass is none other than number 10 in the global rankings. Amidst the whispers, the crowd bets the Janabi Guild came to scout fresh talent, and their target seems to be Han Sang-ah, a genius rookie who controls electricity. Cien's partner even jokes about the girl's skill, asking if she charges batteries. Ignoring the joke, the leader just drops a maybe about the girl's field value. Out of patience, the teammate reminds them fighting in a gate ain't some schoolyard game. Another hunter agrees, saying a perfect score on paper won't save anybody in practice. After all, people used to save simulations take time to get the rhythm of pure carnage. The loudspeaker cuts the chat short, finally announcing the start of the matches. Smirking slightly, Cien hopes some rookie out there can actually surprise them. Right off the bat, the event announcer is blown away by one applicant's profile. He just can't believe the guy is a pure civilian with zero academy training. Gripping the mic, he claims this is unheard of in association history. Everyone wonders what kind of nerve this crazy dude has to step up. As our MC walks out, Chan-Sok enters the stage looking completely unbothered, still finding his new name weird. Immediately, the ref lays down the rules, banning lethal weapons and telling them not to kill each other. Looking around, the former hero focuses on the mission of saving this broken world again. Except for that to work, he needs cash to live good and eat fried chicken. So, he plans on wiping the floor with everyone in the tournament while both take their stance. The buzzer hits, and the bleachers go wild waiting for the clash to start. Wasting no time, the rival charges up a fire spear, making fun of the MC's mana. This blonde kid says it'll be an honor to lose to him, flexing pure arrogance. Smug as hell, the fireboy thinks the fight is already his. Rushing forward, the snob swears he's the undefeated spear king of the academy. He just stands dead still, only measuring the pathetic speed of the strike. The weapon's tip hits thin air, kicking up a dust cloud across the arena. Completely lost, the blonde freezes, trying to process how he missed a sitting duck. Looking frantically side to side, he figures the opponent just evaporated. But Chan-Sok pops up right behind his back, complimenting how slow he is with that weapon. Without holding back, our boy sinks a brutal punch straight into the rival's gut. That hit connects so perfectly, the kid loses his breath on the spot. Following up the combo, the veteran throws a flawless uppercut right to the jaw. Instantly, the playboy's head snaps back from the raw force of the impact. Chan-Sok fixes his stance, thinking he held back just enough to keep the guy out of the hospital. He sighs in disappointment, wondering if this is the famous level of a modern hunter. Up in the stands, Genevi's leader gets intrigued by the dude's raw power. One of her goons points out the MC has barely any mana on his record. So, the crew concludes that punch was pure luck from a scared beginner. Panning over, it shows the candy he was chewing on, completely unbothered by the fight. But Si-Yoon sees past that and figures the kid is saving energy on purpose. Cracking his neck in a ring, the MC decides he needs to be more lethal to put on a show. The rich kid on the ground is still stuttering, unable to accept the beatdown he just took. Now the veteran lines up the finisher, calmly warning he won't send him to the afterlife. That only makes the poor guy panic harder, shaking in his boots with zero reaction. motion. With one final clean tap, he knocks the opponent out cold and secures the round 1 victory. The scouts up in the seats drop their jaws at how fast that knockout was. Staring a hole through the kid, San Shun spots a potential nobody else noticed. Silently, the elite trio realizes they struck gold in the dirt. With a subtle smirk, the big boss decides she's gonna test that kid's true strength. Standing up, she tells her partner she's going straight to chat with the president. The routine continues in the ring with our MC dropping them one by one without breaking a sweat. But his boredom only grows since none of the hunters there even work as a warm-up. Flattening another weakling, he harshly judges the garbage teaching level of this so-called academy. He takes a deep breath, hunting for at least one single opponent who can last 5 minutes. And just like that, everything changed. The rookie prodigy finally steps into the arena, stealing the show. The background characters go crazy over the girls' looks, thinking the real show just started. Hyping up the crowd, the announcer calls the finals between Sang-ah and the mystery rookie. From head to toe, Chon-sok sizes up his opponent and notices she's built different. That girl carries the biggest monopool in the entire gym by a mile. Sanga drops a speech about his luck running out, pulling a yawn out of the MC. Seeing zero magic aura, the girl swears up and down he doesn't have any powers at all. Next, she summons her energy, warning she won't show any mercy to the rookie. Our boy thanks her sarcastically since he's only keeping his power hidden to spare her life. Taking a sharp breath, the chick shifts into a pure offensive stance. The ref blows the whistle, and the girl is already set, charging up a heavy strike. Her entire sword scabbard overloads with static, ready to blow. Even the veteran raises an eyebrow at that ridiculous burst of speed. In the blink of an eye, she draws her blade like firing a railgun. However, the magic slices through the air and hits nothing, leaving the girl frozen in shock. The truth is our hero was already high up in the air, dodging her deadly technique. Turning her head in frustration, the rookie tries to figure out how he dodged a lightning bolt. Xian-sok analyzes the attack from up above, figuring out her trick of magnetizing the scabbard. Landing smoothly, he praises the girl's technique, but warns she missed the most important part. The chick doesn't get it, and he drops the truth. She focused on speed and forgot the timing. Honestly, her silly mistake was creating a visible magnetic trail in the air to fire the weapon. With a smirk, the kid mocks that nobody would fall for an attack with such an obvious tell. But the girl boils with rage and tells him to tone it down. Furious, she charges in, swinging a shock-filled slash without using the trick. He dodges easily and calls her crazy since her last strike was way faster. Right then, Sunla completely loses it and unleashes a massive shockwave. The brawl breaks out, with her slashing and destroying the entire gym floor. Except the veteran dodges every cut, realizing his opponent is pushing herself too hard. Reading her moves, he figures out her body is gonna break down if she doesn't stop soon. In the blink of an eye, the guy pops up right in front of her and announces playtime is over. Super cold, he tells her to raise her left hand if the pain gets too heavy. And showing no mercy, he sinks a clean hit into her stomach that makes the girl shake. That scream of pain tears through the arena instantly. Our MC clenches his fist ready to throw a new attack. Unleashing a combo, he batters his opponent, who can't even defend herself. The protagonist winds up one last punch to end the fight. Then, a super heavy punch lands right on the rookie's ribs. Losing consciousness, the girl blacks out on her feet, bleeding heavily from her nose. Drained of strength, she collapses onto the concrete, completely knocked out. Up above, the crowd can't believe the top of the class got clowned by a nobody. Looking at the poor girl, the hero figures she focused on magic and neglected her physical stats. But no one saw that coming. He gets startled seeing something move on the ground. Senga's left hand slowly goes up, begging for mercy. With a clear signal, the ref ends the match right there to prevent the worst. Chuckling, the kid finds it funny, not expecting her to actually follow his tip and raise her hand. Right danger, a medical team jumps into action and clears everyone out. Out of nowhere, the announcer chokes up, getting some breaking news in his earpiece. Immediately, he asks for silence and warns that the whole schedule just changed. They ask the champ to wait a bit in the arena, leaving the guy super confused. And just like that, everything changed. There's gonna be a bonus match against a pro hunter. Management cleared it all, and Si-Yoon's partners know this was her doing. Seeing the crowd go wild, the former hero realizes this challenge is gonna be massive. To him, these surprise tests are exactly the same no matter what world you're in. A colossal sword drops from the sky and stabs into the ground, calling out the kid's name. Right after, the voice apologizes for crashing the party, saying she needed to test him. Pulling out the heavy sword, Lee Seon from the Janabi Guild finally introduces herself. With a massive smile, the badass claims the tournament was too easy and challenges him to a one-on-one. Shan Sok weighs the offer, well aware this woman is top 10 in the entire world. Just by reading her stance, he figures out things are getting serious and the fight's gonna be rough. Despite the risk, a cheeky little smirk escapes the kid's face, and he accepts the duel right now, leaving the announcer in shock at the rush. The veteran notices his hype, and the boy admits to himself he barely broke a sweat out there. While they carry the rookie off on a stretcher, he decides to use this chance to boost his name. Grabbing a dropped spear from the ground, he realizes a top 10 hunter is the perfect stepping stone to fame. Solid in his stance, the MC wonders if it's finally time to show what he's really made of. Men, in this moment the brawl kicks off and the clash is pure hype, making the crowd lose it. Even the announcer stutters on the mic, sweating cold over the heavy impact shaking the arena. This woman doesn't play around and spins her whole body into a devastating strike. And wouldn't you know it, the kid blocks the giant sword with just the spear shaft, laughing it off. Taking that ridiculous impact, he can't understand how she hides so much strength in that frame. The sound of clashing steel echoes loud, with both of them fighting for space at their limits. Through pure raw power, the veteran tosses the kid through the air like a ragdoll. Meanwhile, CN already notices her arms feeling super heavy right from the start, but Chan Sok is frustrated, spotting the openings. Except his current body just won't obey. Out of breath, the badass praises him for lasting 30 minutes when she thought he'd only survive 5. Sinking her boot into the cracked ground, she warns that the warm-up is officially over. With her weapon raised, she swears she'll end it quick to spare him the suffering. The kid grits his teeth, knowing his mana hit 0 and there's nothing in the air to pull. Tired and out of breath, he readies his stance, refusing the idea of throwing in the towel. Watching his opponent jump in for the lethal strike, he accepts he's gotta use his dirty trick. Without hesitation, he summons his most dangerous technique, the famous Paradox Flame. The whole room's aura shifts suddenly, leaving the top 10 hunter anxious up in midair. Out of nowhere, a blast of energy launches the kid backward, saving him from the blade. He lands safely in the corner, while the hunter smashes the empty arena floor to bits. Laughing nervously, the woman tries to figure out how he dodged an impossible hit. Covered in a dark and freaky blaze, he stares down the veteran without blinking. Right there, he repeats the name of the Paradox Flame, giving off a heavy energy. It's his ace in the hole from the other world, the technique that kept him alive for 20 years. Pointing at his own torn clothes, he proves the fire doesn't burn anything physical. The fire's target is abstract concepts, except right now he can't erase identities. But there's one thing he can burn, and he charges full speed at his opponent. Completely surprised, CN's eyes go wide seeing the rookie's speed. Double out of nowhere. Up in the air, the former hero drops the truth. The fuel for the fire right now is his own fatigue. Janabi's boss can't believe the guy is good as new in the snap of a finger, and the war kicks off even wilder, raining sparks everywhere with every clash of steel. Trading blows. The woman notices the arena's mana level is fluctuating like crazy. Chenso quickly explains the trick. Burning concepts with this fire creates pure mana. Basically, the magic eats up his exhaustion to give back energy in an endless loop. Pushing forward fast, he bragged that it's an infinite stamina and health glitch. Eye to eye, the kid adds that his real absolute specialty is actually taking hits and throwing hands. The two clash again, crumbling whatever 4 is left. Dead serious. The top 10 hunter asks if he's gonna keep up this exhausting game until tomorrow. According to her, the crazy dude is like a tech stuck to a leg that just won't let go. Laughing, he confirms that wars of attrition are his jam, and he's got breath for way more. Full of swagger, the rookie flirts a bit, asking if she's into persistent guys. With a forced smile, she claps back, saying she absolutely hates annoying people like that. Except every fire leaves ashes, and the Paradox Flame also puts a limit on the body. After a cracked 4 hours and 17 minutes, the fuel finally runs dry. Flat on the ground, the hero whines for mercy, and Scene takes the win. Without delay, one of the hunter's suited partners brings her a lollipop. Up above, the rest of the squad loses it with jealousy over a treat during shift. Satisfied, the badass hands the lollipop to the kid as a prize, along with a business card. He grabs the little paper reading the Janabi partner title, totally clueless about what it means. Winking at him, she tells him to call later so they can negotiate a proper contract. Over the loudspeaker, they call Chain Shok to pick up his first place prize for the event. Safely chilling in the corner and eating the lollipop, the former hero finally breathes in peace. Messing with his brand new hunter license phone, he gets blown away by the little shops and app features. But the peace is short-lived cause somebody calls his name out of nowhere in the hallway. A buff giant pops up right there saying the MC has way more presence in person. Sizing up the 2-meter-tall freak, he asks who he is and gets a card. On the paper it says Tybeck Guild, and the big guy immediately drops an invite to the team. Yoon swears that under his wing the kid is gonna fly high, and you can tell the dude is dead serious. But the memory of Se-yoon asking for that call flashes in his mind. Right away, the kid remembers their setup and decides to stall so he can think it through. That giant just bursts out laughing, letting him know he doesn't need an answer right now. Dropping a heavy hand on the boy's shoulder, the veteran gives off a threatening vibe. With that creepy smile, he leans in and tells the rookie to think it over carefully. The big guy turns his back and bails after the warning, leaving him planted right there. He immediately makes a disgusted face and swears he's staying far away from this Tibet. Hours later, Se-yoon picks up the call and he immediately asks where they're meeting. The hunter says she's at a cafe called The Hut right inside the association building. Finding the foreign name weird, he follows the route and spots the little wooden sign. Over by the door, a super hyped waitress welcomes the guy with a massive smile. Se-yoon is already chilling at the table, praises his timing, and tells him to grab a seat. He brings up the place's name and the veteran notices he's pulling a weird face. Without wasting time, he explains that some freaky giant tried to poach him for another guild. She puts 2 and 2 together instantly, warning him that nobody messes with that guy's offer. Flashing that cheeky smile, the boy pokes at her asking if she chickened out too. And that's where it gets crazy. The badass says she doesn't want to recruit him at all. Her whole idea is for him to work as a solo freelancer, leaving the former hero completely confused. Quickly, she explains that Taebek was just gonna throw him at the back of the line as a mere junior. Floating totally lost, he asks about the ranks, and she remembers he's not from the bottom. Everything works like a pyramid, split between junior at the bottom, senior, and partner at the top. Says one lays it out that the bottom of the pyramid is just pawns getting a flat paycheck from the boss. As a partner, she holds shares in the guild and profits right alongside them, basically like an owner. The goons nearby joke that it sounds like a law firm, and she confirms the inspiration. Basically, the guy doesn't have to eat dirt at the bottom just to become a boss later. Catching on to the play, the kid realizes that if he shines solo, the market will come to him. The veteran nods excitedly and slides him another sweet, leaving him suspicious about it. Without hiding his hand, he mentions he doesn't have any connections to score VIP missions. Flashing a sly smile, she claims she's gonna hook him up with that bridge completely for free. He takes the bait, a bit suspicious, asking what the catch is with all this kindness. Her plan is to lock the guy into a debt of gratitude, so he never forgets Janabi. Right then, she slides an envelope across the table, making it crystal clear he only accepts if he wants to. Tearing the paper open, the MC discovers the mission is wiping out a nasty zone on some island. He thinks it's just killing a boss, but the gig is actually hunting new gates all over the map. The contract offers 5 million up front and 15 at the end, with the raid dropping in a month. Pissed off, the former hero crumbles the paper, judging that payout as pure pennies for risking his life. With that mocking smile, she warns him that if he gets famous, the cash is gonna pour in. Staring the kid right in the eyes, she throws the ball in his court and demands a choice. The rookie freezes in a heavy silence, calculating the risks in his head. Far from there, inside a fancy car, her squad questions if this kid is really the guy. She recaps his unarmed flex at the tournament, and one goon thinks the stunt was cool. But another partner disagrees, pointing out the boss went way too easy and left herself open. Boiling with anger, the leader reminds them that the crazy dude held his ground against a veteran. Lost in thought, she admits that matching her raw strength for that long is unreal. To sum it up, she guarantees the kid is a monster, and then the scene cuts straight to the island. Arriving at the meetup spot, the team keeps harping on the fact that he's just a kid, all because of some annoying little rule that required veteran hunters on the roster. The crew questions if his little hands are going to be useful or just dead weight for the squad. Ripping her sword tight, the badass tells everyone to chill because it's all under control. Her master play was pairing him with someone reliable, shutting up anyone who doubted him. Curious, the leader asks where this rookie is going to end up, and she flashes a slightly tense smile. She claims that if the dude reaches the elite tier, and his shadow pops up right there, this guy would straight up wipe the floor with their own boss in a one-on-one without blinking. Rewinding the tape 30 days, a delivery guy struggles to drop a massive package at the door. Exhausted, the dude curses the heavy box, trying to guess what kind of brick is inside. While waiting for the door to open, he already scans his list to see the next drop of the day. Soon enough, the knob turns and the kid says thanks, grabbing his highly anticipated toy. Staring at the long crate on the floor, his jaw drops at the sheer size of the thing. With zero hesitation, his hand already pops the lock on the first latch with a loud click. Yanking the other metal lock, the lid flies open to reveal the lethal hardware inside. The crazy dude's eyes light up like a kid opening a package with the most badass weapon. Gripping the new weapon, he tests the weight and claims playtime is officially on. A flask of elixir is sitting right there. there. Some pure managers just for emergencies. In theory, people store this energy like a battery in their chest, sucking it from the air. But our boy's magic system is totally bootlegged and works a whole different way. Basically, he pulls ambient mana straight into the strike, securing infinite ammo. As a bonus, kickstarting his engine like this expands his veins, making the magic even more OP. The problem is his pipes are rusty, so hoarding a bit of this potion is gonna save his skin. Checking his reflection, he guarantees a month of magic grinding will get the job done. Fast forward to the present, and the island's port turns into an anthill of locked-in hunters. A massive line starts forming on the sand, with everyone tense and waiting for orders. On the kid's turn, he just flashes the code on his phone for the guard to scan right there. The guard checks the data and sends our heroes straight to the Squad 8 tent. Scribbled on a piece of wood, the number gathers the Red Chick squad right by the water. Pulling up to the spot, the veteran hears a grown man whining about being sleepy and cold. Suddenly, a super high-pitched voice strikes up a chat, making him turn his head a bit spooked. Look who it is, the Lightning Girl, complimenting his haircut and trying to explain her scars. Sangha tries to force some squad friendship talk, but he shoots her down super dry. She plays shy, flexing that her shoulders even hurt after the beatdown she took. Missing the joke entirely, he says injuries are serious, leaving the poor girl absolutely fuming. By pure luck, the colonel on stage grabs a megaphone, screaming the plan into everyone's ears. Since the reject crew is fully assembled, the crazy dude pulls out the mission map to explain. The suit mentions there are raw rookies in the area, making the MC feel called out. During the little lecture, the officer lists the whole classes and hypes up the fear for the Alpha Gate. This cursed Alpha is planted right in a church, and the message is simple: stay far away from it. Basically, the squad's hustle is slicing through the alleys to burst the smaller gates. In the back of the room, some clowns complain that this mission is way too risky. Finishing the ride, the boat docks at the creepy pier of that abandoned island. The former hero feels the weird aura radiating from that place. He and the shock girl step off the boat along with the rest of the crew. Blowing his whistle, the officer grabs everyone's attention, warning them that if things go south, the coastal HQ is on the radar tracking everybody's heartbeats. Saluting them, the big boss wishes good hunting to this crew of slayers. A veteran takes the leader spot and cooks up a survival plan. Scratching their heads, the rest of the group figures the dude's tactic is just easier. Tired of the chatter, the rookie cuts in, opening the map and pointing out the temple's location. One of the veterans steps to the kid, calling him an idiot and questioning the temple idea. Super chill, he explains that the mountain view covers the whole area and doubles as a base. But the guys throw a fit, saying they aren't going to war just to need a fort. The former hero just pities all the ignorance coming from this group. Right then, someone suggests the group split up to explore the area. The swordswoman herself and another hunter jump down from the trees to side with the kid. And so the team splits, with the three heading to the temple while the rest of the veterans bail. He already expected Sangha to tag along, but notices the rookie's mana is way stronger. Curious, he asks why this Kim Minji guy decided to follow the duo. Kim says he was worried about the two rookies, which actually earns him a drop of respect. Except the piece ends fast. The hero's instinct goes off, warning him of danger. Without a second thought, he stops in his tracks and tells everyone to freeze right there. Spooked, Kim doesn't understand the sudden stop and asks for an explanation. Making a quiet sign, Chansok subtly points to the other side of the trail. The veteran takes a peek from behind the rock and turns white as a sheet. Man, there's an army of freaky goblin-type beasts blocking the path. Shaking in his boots, Kim warns there are about 50 of them and they need to fall back. He ignores the panic and just asks what the guy's magic is, who freaks out at the idea of fighting. But the kid presses him hard, reminding him that a hunter is there exactly to lay the beat down. Gulping hard, Kim confesses his absolute specialty is slinging fireballs. Perfect. Chansok tells him to prep the attack and wait for the green light. The poor guy looks at the swordswoman for help, not believing this suicide mission. To him, it's plain stupid to clash head-on with 50 enemies on the very first day. The idea was to call for backup on the radio, but the hero shuts it down, saying it'll take too long. That's because the rest of the squad is patrolling the coast and would take forever to arrive. On top of that, if the horde hears the call and scatters, the whole island runs a massive risk. Having nowhere to run, Kim accepts that the kid's logic is flawless. Plus, there's a chance the veterans might just flake and ignore the distress call. Wrapping it up, the MC declares the only way out alive is through an ambush. The plan is simple. The shooter clears the middle and he holds the flank. It becomes crystal clear to Ken that this crazy dude is a real war commander. Down below, the horde is still just standing there, totally blind to what's coming. At the hero's shout, the ally jumps in front, already charging his magic. Immediately, he drops a fire meteor right in the center of the pack, creating insane chaos. The inferno rises and the beasts scream in pain, turning to ash on the spot. Out of breath, Kim warns his skill has a cooldown, but the kid tells him to chill. Focusing his energy, the ally nods that he gets the picture. picture. To him, the battlefield demands a cold and calculated efficiency. Basically, everyone does their part perfectly and nobody dies today. Keeping that in mind, he flies straight at the monsters that didn't turn to charcoal. One of the beasts already leaps with its claws out, swearing to end the kid. But the MC guarantees he'll hold the line until the ally preps the next shot. Knowing his own limits, he fakes out the first beast and tears through its defense. That is the beauty of knowing how to slice up tasks in a well-built squad. On the other side, Sang-ah already sets her stance and grips her sword hilt. The girl draws her steel and already slices up a few monsters right there. Full of swagger, she takes over the cover fire and shows she's locked in. Right on time, Kim yells from the back that round 2 is ready to go. Smirking, the hero gives the thumbs up and warns he's jumping out of the line of fire. The ally triggers the magic and unleashes a ridiculous amount of flames all at once. And that's where it gets crazy. The new blast is so massive it wipes the rest of the map. Touching his foot to the ground, the kid already readies his spear for the final kill. Without even blinking, he gives the order to sweep up the 2 little monsters left. The boy deletes one on the tip of his blade while the girl dashes to the opposite side. Stabbing his spear into the dirt, he stops and scans the area. He wipes his sweat, looking satisfied at the damage the trio did to the place. Kim even hypes up the squad, pumped about the successful massacre. But the joy is short-lived. Kim pulls out a weird gun and drops into a tense pose. Ignoring the heavy vibe, the shooter just thanks them for the teamwork and aims lower. The kid even calls out his name, thinking the guy turned traitor out of nowhere. Smiling, the ally just asks for room, leaving the kid relieved he's not getting shot. Actually, the pistol just fires a tracking microchip into the goblin's carcass. Kim explains that this is for the guild's scavenger to come pick up the beast's remains. Curious about the slang, he finds out carrying the monster's weight on their backs is impossible. For this reason, the scrap crew drops by at the end of the day, sweeping everything profitable on the map. Then the company sells the parts and splits the cash with the tracking chip's owner. The rookie kinda doubts the hustle, but Kim warns that signing with a good firm is vital. Showering them with praise for the surreal victory against the horde, the ally suddenly freezes up. And no one saw that coming. A monster chucks a giant rock trying to crush the squad. With insane reflexes, the MC pushes Kim far away from the brute's impact zone. The guy eats dirt and gets up cursing, but the front duo already knows things went south. In the shadows of the smoke, a smile packed with sharp teeth rips across the beast's face. Sniffing out the danger, the former hero realizes this is the famous mini-boss of the region. Soon the colossal creature shows its face, letting out an ear-piercing roar. Sweat drops. He quickly calculates if this demonic gorilla is the one bossing the goblins around. To make things worse, the freak lets out a yell that literally shakes the ground around them. Measuring the monster's mana, he realizes the gap in power and tells the team to stay out of it. The 2 rookies freak out, and Kim even tries to plan a tactical retreat thinking they're gonna die. Furious, the kid tells them both to back off if they don't want to go home in a body bag. That harsh reality stings, leaving them both standing there with their jaws dropped and frozen in place. Honestly, he prefers to go solo so he can drop the black flames without burning his friends. Locking his eyes on the target, he spins his spear and invites the beast to a one-on-one clash. And things get freaky when the air pressure changes the exact second they clash. Kim watches the dust rise and asks if there's no way to save the kid from that beatdown. Without blinking, Sang-ah points out that things aren't exactly what they seem in the middle. Impressed, she points out that the kid hasn't taken a single scratch so far, and the former hero's insane talent goes way beyond just defense. He dodges deadly strikes like a dance and still stabs his spear on the rebound. To top off the madness, every single thrust of his incinerates the monster with some weird fire. The girl notices the flames sucked away the beast's stamina, leaving it in slow motion. Smiling like it's nothing, the crazy dude is effortlessly turning a giant monster into a punching bag. All of that makes the girl's mind fry, doubting if the guy is actually just a mere rookie. Right in the center, the MC dodges by sliding across the dirt to escape the last heavy punch. His body spin turns the shaft's weight into a flawless counterattack against the beast. Feeling the timing, he digs his foot into the dirt, locking his pose for the checkmate. But check how weird this is. He straight up throws his spear with everything he has into the sky. The duo in the back watches the weapon fly with their jaws dropped, thinking he lost his mind. Frozen in the sky, the blade reflects the light for a second before hunting its locked target. Sweating cold, Kim can't understand how someone disarms themselves in front of the worst enemy. In pure panic, he screams, warning that the freak is gonna swallow their partner alive right there. The beast gets super close, just inches from our MC's face. But at that exact moment, the blade drops from the sky and lands a clean hit. With that ridiculous impact, the freak gets crushed against the ground and kicks the bucket. He decides it's time to finish the job and wipe the beast out once and for all. Behind him, the rookie duo drops their jaws at that display of power. Kim is left completely lost since he swore the kid was getting backed into a corner. Right then, the boy yanks his weapon out of the carcass and calls the shooter, who answers spooked. Analyzing the remains, he asks if it's normal for a beast this big to show up here. To the former hero, this would only make sense in a level 3 corrosion zone or higher. Since the scale has 4 tiers, he remembers the warning that this gate was rank 0. The reality hits him and he figures the threat jumped to level 3, scaring his partners. Sang-ah tries citing their orders, but he cuts her off and tells her to use some logic. Freaking out, Kim yells that the power gap between ranks is unreal. And if it's true, the odds of the other hunters leaving this island alive is near 0. In pure panic, he begs the kid to go save everyone but gets a dry no. The poor guy doesn't get it, and the veteran drops the harsh truth that you can't save everybody. Soon the girl defends the hero, reminding him the goal is closing the gate, not playing rescue. Except she turns to the MC and pokes him, asking if he wouldn't want help in a pinch. Dripping with sarcasm, the kid fires back asking if he should feel pity and play the hero. Putting on a serious face, he explains it's not a lack of empathy, but just the cold reality of this place. Sadly, in a chaotic world like this, some losses are just unavoidable. And when the Reaper knocks, no matter how you feel, the end is always the same. That's why the master warns them not to lose their minds in the middle of all this despair. Surviving while pitying others is impossible. And just like that, night falls over the temple. Later on, Chan-Sok opens the wooden door and runs a quick check on the area. Everything looks clear with no trace of monsters, lifting a massive weight off Kim's shoulders. Keeping watch outside, the hero asks if anything is on the radar, but the ally only sees pitch black. Right then, the shooter points at some flashlights shining far off in the island's darkness. That lighting is a rookie mistake, since it hands the squad's position over on a silver platter. To make things worse, if another giant beast spots that light, the patrol team is gonna be dinner. Grabbing his phone, he shoots an alert to everyone, warning them about the risk of all that light. The text goes through, but the boy stays stressed until Sang-ah breaks the silence. Curious, he asks if destroying the gate's core fixes everything, and she nods yes. The former hero smirks, figuring out this problem actually has a pretty simple fix. So he decides the only way out is imploding the corrosion gate all by himself. Hours later, the shock girl is already knocked out from exhaustion, sleeping right there in her seat. On the other side, Kim also passed out leaning against the cold concrete. Wide awake, the kid leaves a little box with a purple button sitting on a table. Since the gadget beeps if any beast gets near, he bails solo to let them rest in peace. Sprinting through the dead of night, the veteran faces the mountains on a stealth mission. Luckily, he memorized the map during the briefing, so the route to the gate is locked in. While dashing straight toward the gate's core, he ends up sensing a freaky energy, stopping dead in his tracks right then and there. Annoyed, the guy realizes he spoke way too soon and curses his own luck out loud. While prepping his attack, a creepy voice echoes in the dark. Locked on the danger, the kid turns his head to face the threat head-on, and he stares right back with a killer pressure that would give anyone the chills. Then the hairy giant steps out of the shadow, finding the spear hero's face pretty weird. Far from there, the control base turns into pure chaos when Squad 5's vitals drop off the map. Panicking, an analyst yells that the monsters set up an organized ambush on the crew. Without missing a beat, management declares a full emergency and begged for armed backup. Right then, the panel beeps warning that some crazy dude is rushing straight into the gate's center. The commander orders them to lock onto the person via radio, demanding to know who the suicidal fool is. Soon, the analyst confirms Chan-Sok's name, the same guy who warned them about the danger earlier. Sweating cold, the boss tells them to open a channel with the kid to figure out what's going on. When the line opens, the base just hears the hero cursing out the beast's ridiculous speed. Over the radio, he blasts HQ for their lack of intel and almost gets muted by the crew. Backed into a corner, he realizes his current magic fire isn't enough to incinerate the creature. The tactic now is slowly melting the gorilla's health and finishing it off with a spear thrust. But the freak tanks the hits, flexing a defense that borders on the absurd, all because of the mana he wasted on the first boss, leaving his tank running on fumes. Trapped in that nightmare, the only way out is finding a spot to drain some fresh energy. Right then, his internal radar pings a magic source right nearby. Flashing that sly smirk, he spots a portal pulsing with power on the ground. Showing no mercy, the kid dashes full speed into the portal, dragging the boss along with him. Inside the portal, it seems like the laws of the world don't apply shy at all. With a mocking tone, he invites the creature to not miss the front row show. Full of swagger, he warns he needs to test out a brand new trick right there. Meanwhile, the base operator freezes up seeing the rookie's GPS go dark on the screen. The commander yells to announce the kid breached the alpha gate, cursing out of pure stress. Deep inside that dimensional cave, the kid finds the place way cleaner than normal. For a rank 3, he expected some tiny lair, but gets blown away by the actual structure. But the peace is short-lived. The white gorilla pops up right in his face, ready for round 2. Spinning his spear, he announces the tour is over and it's time to cut ties. The beast glares daggers at him, and the kid fires back saying he hates annoying guests. Furious at the disrespect, the freak roars and bares its teeth to go for his throat. Man, right as this moment, the hero remembers the biggest flaw of his OP fire. The problem is the magic burns any living thing around, even pulling allies into the mix. With that, the magical pitch black wraps around his entire weapon for the final strike. So, losing control of his technique on the battlefield is basically signing your own death warrant. Fearless, he flies straight for the beast's neck, letting the purple blaze take over completely. A clean cut tears through the air, sending a violent blast straight into the target's chest. Crushed by the impact, the giant starts getting devoured by that weird fire. Since the kid is fighting solo in there, the risk of burning a buddy drops to 0. Watching the damage, he warns that the real show is only just starting. Then he starts gathering every ounce of energy possible, pulling it all right into his body. Veins of pure magic pop on the former hero's skin, recharging the battery he drained on the mission. That heavy flow stretches out the kid's energy channels, making him way more lethal. Taking a deep breath, he enjoys that power flowing freely through his blood again. Overflowing with confidence, the MC judges that energy as one heck of a nutritious snack. The beast's screams echo through the cave while the cursed flame burns its hide. Then, the freak's fury explodes in a massive shockwave of pressure. The impact sweeps through the gate structure with 0 mercy. Completely unbothered, the hero smirks, instantly figuring out the enemy's desperation. All that screaming was purely and simply a cry for help to the rest of the pack. And that's where it gets crazy. 3 more giants surround our boy inside the cave. Staying relaxed, the hunter warns that bringing a crew won't change their fate one bit. Spinning his spear coated in dark fire, he sets his stance and invites them all to throw hands. Pumped full of energy, he just tries to spot the boss in the crowd to finish clearing the map. No one saw that coming. A freaky chill shoots up his spine, and he freezes in place. Raising his spear, he realizes the real target was hiding up there. The kid's expression shifts, completely locked in for the fight. Suddenly, the white-furred giant turns into pure smoke, and that mist gathers together, forming a weapon in a brand new beast's hand. Masked up, the freak mentions it waited for the fire to die down, surprising the hero by actually talking. With pure swagger, it swears a gate core is a whole different ballgame and promises to end the MC. Quickly, Chansok figures out this ain't gonna be a walk in the park. Wasting no time, he grips his spear tight and pushes in for the first strike. The blade tears through the air, piercing the enemy's defense with raw power. Tries to block with its own weapon, but the hit is just way too heavy. The beast's weapon keeps holding against our former hero's strike, but slowly it starts to crack from the sheer force of the blow. Flashing a smile, the kid announces his secret double orbit spear technique. On the second thrust, a magic trail copies the movement, spinning right at the monster. Completely lost, the masked freak gets spooked by the weapon's ridiculous speed. That magic creates a blue clone that mimics the exact path of the first strike instantly. Even so, the giant monster fights back with its claws. He dodges the attack and breaks down exactly how the move works. Explaining the trick, he says the secret is slightly delaying the spirit clone's hit to glitch the beast out. The setup creates a double trap that's basically impossible to dodge. Taking heat from 2 directions completely out of rhythm, the villain's mistake is fatal, and the magic clone lands a clean hit. Right in that opening, the real spear stabs straight into the beast's chest. Cold as ice, the former hero declares the fight is over, pushing his energy to the absolute max. With a blast, multiple energy spears erupt all over the freak's body, disintegrating it on the spot. The mask cracks and it turns into glowing dust, making the kid think it was all done. And no one saw that coming. A magic box pops up in its place, leaving him super confused. Clicking the lid open, he uncovers some mystery loot inside the chest. Totally speechless, he just stares at the drop without fully getting what he just scored. Far from there, the control base is boiling over with the news that Squad 5 vanished off the map. To make things worse, the rescue team clashed with the beasts, and the island landing went totally wrong. The ops big boss is pulling his hair out, thinking it's the end of the line for everybody. Out of options, he accepts that only a miracle could save the crew from a complete massacre. Suddenly, an operator yells that a text from Chansok just came in, and the boss demands to hear it. Throwing it on the main screen, the message is short and blunt. The Alpha Gate is done for. Soon enough, the radar confirms the boss is gone and every single monster drops drop dead instantly. Frozen in his chair, the commander gulps hard, calling that a straight-up miracle. The guy's mind is frying, trying to process how a kid just pulled off the impossible. Back on the island, the MC chills on the ground, admiring the clear sky like nothing even happened. Meanwhile, the rookie duo is still fighting for their lives against a whole battalion of beasts. Squeezing out every last drop of lightning, Senga slices up anyone who steps in her way. Exhausted to the bone, sheaths her blade, unable to keep up the pace anymore. But she tightens her grip on the scabbard, forcing her body to prep another lethal draw. Covered in cuts, the girl realizes the monsters just won't stop coming, and the hero is Mie. Kim screams for her, panicking over his partner's wrecked condition. In the middle of the swarm, he doesn't even believe they'll be breathing tomorrow. The girl figures out instantly that the shooter is also broken and completely out of mana. Her legs are shaking, giving away that her body is right on the edge of collapsing. Out of nowhere, one of the beasts roars, tearing through the air, and flies straight in for the kill. Pulling strength from beyond, she pushes forward to intercept the monster's strike. Except the fatigue takes its toll and she totally whiffs the hit. It jumps out of the way, dodging the attack while two more pull up to jump her. Her partner's desperate scream echoes when he sees the mess she's in. Disgusting and full of teeth, that mouth gets super close to bite her head off. With no strength left to react, the mage screams desperately for the girl. And just like that, everything changed. The fury vanishes and the full moon lights up the silent night. Confused, the swordswoman slowly opens her eyes. Sweeping the brush with her eyes, she tries to process the sudden peace around them. Simply put, there's not a single monster left, leaving Kim looking dumbfounded and totally lost. Back at the island base, the vibe now is all about bandages and people breathing sighs of relief. The MC arrives and checks out the wounded, realizing things got super ugly back at camp. Everybody there just stares at him, jaws dropped that the kid soloed a rank 3 gate. The crowd's minds are frying trying to understand it, and he just strolls there chilling with his weapon. Noticing their boss arriving, the rookie duo waves and pulls him aside. With his phone in hand, Kim demands answers for that suicidal stunt of going in alone. Super fake, he claims he did it to save everyone, already focusing on his own PR. Pushing his luck, he even says he would have gone earlier until a voice cuts him off. Out of nowhere, Asura pops up introducing himself as a big shot from Korea's ops. The kid remembers this guy was the recruiter, and the agent immediately asks for a quick word. Straight up, the man announces that the city's mayor insists on meeting the hero. Stepping onto the city hall carpet, he rolls his eyes at this boomer habit of giving orders. With no bonus in the contract, the kid decides to squeeze the city for some extra cash. Right at the door, a guy holding an umbrella drops a super polite bow. This is Lee Piljae, the PR guy in charge of bridging the gap with the government. The dude sucks up, saying the mayor basically fell out of his chair reading his report. Apparently the boss even cleared his whole schedule, but the kid keeps it real, saying he didn't do that much. Stubborn, Piljae reminds him that a feat like this only happened with the legendary Great Pioneer. Racking up the chat, the guide opens the office door announcing the star's arrival. Deep inside, the mayor of Incheon flashes a massive politician smile and thanks him for coming. Named Park Dion, he quickly apologizes for the rushed invite in that nasty weather. Super quick, the man tells him to grab a seat and orders a hot coffee from Piljae. Clinking his cup on the saucer, the politician showers him with praise for his service to the country. The island was causing a massive headache and the vault was empty, so he loved the cheap labor. Between sips, the MC confirms this was his very first gig in the area. Hyped up, the mayor stands up saying Incheon is proud to launch this hero. And it doesn't stop there. The guy goes into a patriotic speech that leaves the kid completely lost. Selling the city, he hypes up the airport and the foreign investors throwing cash at the area. The politician's eyes gleam, talking about the river of money crossing Incheon's skies. To wrap it up, he swears up and down he'll cover the hero with whatever backup he needs. Walking away from that nonsense, Shansok gets in the car and turns to the suit. Suspicious, Piljae drops the heavy question, wanting to know his real reason for being a hunter. The kid blurts out that if the toilet clogs, somebody has to get their hands dirty to fix it. In total silence, the agent reflects on the weight of that dirty but super realistic answer. Soon enough, he warns that fame is knocking at the door with TV invites and pointless commercials. Reading the room, the former hero catches Piljae's fear of him becoming just another corporate sellout. That human weakness is normal in a world where there's only pure despair on the other side of the wall. Since Korea is the last country standing, heavy cash easily buys out souls over there. Because of that, the kid's heroic feat shined way too bright for anyone who lost their faith in justice. Super sincere, Piljae asks the hero to stay strong as a true symbol of light. Looking at the view, the kid gets curious to see how far the city hall will go. It's clear the mayor isn't even hiding his bad intentions. But our MC isn't falling for it. After all, living so long in the other world taught him exactly how the game is played. Right then, the boy keeps it real and asks what the actual price for all this backup is. And that's where it gets crazy. He calls the guy out for just wanting help with his re-election. Caught off guard, the politician stammers, praising how fast information spreads on the internet. The hero exposes that the guy's term ends next year and his re-election is hanging by a thread. Trying to stall, the man mentions the island mission needed the city's green light. But the play is obvious. The politician wants to steal the fame and pretend he discovered the talent. Selling his pitch, the suit drops his connections with the giant corporate brands over there. As an example, there's a coffee commercial he could toss the rookie's way, promising more perks. He tries to keep going, but our MC cuts him off right there. Super cold, the kid warns him he doesn't have a cheap price tag to be bought like that, leaving the man speechless. The former hero states the world is desperate for a new idol. In reality, if a crack talent like him keeps hunting gates, all that cash and clout are gonna fall into his lap naturally anyway. Sweating bullets, the suit throws easy missions on the table, but the offer is pure trash. Full of sass, the kid tells the mayor to congratulate the current commercial guy, because, by the looks of it, the poor dude is gonna have to renew his contract. Turning his back on City Hall, he just casually walks away in the rain. Meanwhile, Pilji drops to his knees in the puddles under the rain in front of a hooded guy. The mystery boss declares the island test went south and the goon begs for forgiveness. Shaking in his boots, the agent tries to save his own skin by warning he brought something good. Intrigued, the villain checks the phone showing the leaked footage of the Hunter tournament. Right as the strange agitation, let's say, rife flames leave the suit's jaw dropped at the raw power. Smirking creepily, the hooded guy praises the kid's dangerous talent. September rolls around and people line up at the big screens waiting for the new global rankings. Some kid cheers with his phone in hand, showing the update to his mom at home. Out on the streets, folks are guessing the top names, while others don't even care. Except this time, anyone paying attention knows the stagnant list just suffered a massive earthquake. The association president gets the fresh list handed straight from an analyst. Far from there, Seiyun herself suspects the unarmed crazy dude made the cut. Riking a fancy suit, our boy stays at the screen thinking this whole fame show is mid. For him, the real cash flow is dictated by the top 10 in the world that year. And the Janabi leader secures the 10th spot, making her presence known in the global elite. Down in 5th sits the elite sniper turning heads with his golden rifle. Taking the bronze is some dude flexing pure firepower all over his body. A giant made of pure muscle pops up in the middle of a wrecked background to snag silver. Man, right at this moment, the top of the list crowns none other than the rookie Chan Sok. With that, a suit warns him that the waiting time in the dressing room is up. Giving a nod, the hero hears the guy congratulate his ridiculous jump up the chart, because cracking the global elite in record time like that is just wild. If it were a veteran dropping a rank 3 boss, the media wouldn't even blink. But since it's the rookie's very first gig, microphones rain down on him up on stage. Finding it all a circus, he announces he only has time for one more question from the crowd. Some kiss-up reporter asks for a catchy quote about the future of humanity. Oozing confidence, the protagonist tells folks to forget the usual hero cliches. He coldly states that the only thing doing the talking for him will be his results. A few days later, flying in a chopper, a guide points to the ruins of Gonzal prison. The association boss is tagging along, whining that the whole outside world has already collapsed. Holding the line, Korea was the only one that survived and kept producing technology. Curious, our boy asks about the rest, and the truth is the other capitals simply vanish. Stepping onto the rubble, the president calls the hero over to see the damage up close. That massive crater is one of the 8 worst global gates in existence. 13 years ago, the thing ripped right through downtown and swallowed the city. Flashing by without warning, it happened in the blink of an eye, and whoever didn't run became history. Nobody caught inside the corrupted hole's radius had even a fraction of a chance to escape. Instantly, millions of lives were deleted off the map in a single blow. Bringing it back to today, the suit mentions governments lost their grip to raw capital. Out of patience for the history lesson, Chan Sok straight up asks the reason for the fancy ride. Then the boss spills that the Taebuk gorilla flipped out because the kid ignored his invite. Immediately, the giant's mobster face flashes right back into the rookie's mind. By the looks of it, the guild played dirty and tried to force the kid's address out of them. The president says he played dumb, but warns that Taebuk plays rough with 0 rules. Furious, he admits his current body can't tank a direct punch from that brute. Watching the kid, the suit catches onto his goal of flying solo, which he confirms. Next comes the offer, grabbing a VIP government government mission to secure political immunity. Catching on to the scam, the rookie immediately asks for the price tag on all this armor. The boss is blunt. He just wants the hero strapped with a heavy debt of gratitude. Passing the paperwork, he sells the gig as the ultimate ticket to a peaceful life. Straight to the point, the mission is escorting a cargo ship packed with basic goods. But reading the files, the kid spots fancy watches and luxury cars on that basic list. Defending the elite, the old man lies saying some folks can't survive without a Rolex. He doesn't buy the excuse, judging that pointless luxury while the outside world crumbles. The old man plays the politics card, claiming the money network is what keeps things moving. Realizing it's just a delivery run for the rich boys club, he decides to pass on the offer. Panicking, the boss yells that this is a top-tier priority for the central government. Except Chonsok shuts down the chat, refusing to become a puppet for rich politicians. Boiling with rage, the suit points his finger, calling him a rookie spoiled by fame. They lock eyes, and the fake friendship vibe dies right there inside the cabin. With zero warning, the kid just chucks the confidential files right out the door. Turning his back, the former hero drops a sarcastic thank you for the ride. And to close it out with style, he announces he's swimming back to the capital at his own pace. Man, the crazy dude jumps out of the moving chopper straight down the cliff without blinking. Paralyzed in his seat, the president drops his jaw at the kid's pure madness. Falling like a meteor, the water explodes in a massive impact down in the ocean waves. Up above, the suit grumbles about how this new generation has completely lost their minds. Afternoon hits the Incheon docks, washing everything in a yellow sunset vibe. Nearby, an old dock worker almost chokes on his coffee staring out at the sea. The water starts boiling with a freaky amount of bubbles out of nowhere, breaking the surface. A solid hand grips the soaked concrete edge. Our boy climbs out of the ocean soaking wet, desperately gasping for air. Sprawled on the pier, he regrets that stupid jump and questions the old man's swagger. The old guy feels bad about the fake shipwreck, and the former hero just mutters a thanks. It becomes crystal clear in his mind that finding a way to level up is the main priority. Because of that, the goal shifts and he decides to tackle the most suicidal gigs on the market. This way, he snatches the control out of those politicians' hands and plays his own game. Scrolling to his phone, a high-risk contract lights up in the emergency tab. The chosen nightmare is dropping into Sushima Island to rescue a kidnapped crew. And the best part? The gig promises a head-on clash against a rank 2 gate. Accepting the gig, he sits on the pier, lets out a sigh, and stares at the sunset. With an exhausted look, the kid realizes his schedule is about to get packed again. On September 3rd, the fishing cruise sets sail for shrimp season. But this time around, the waters were acting super weird. Monsters from Sushima Island pop out of nowhere, hunting the fishermen right in the open ocean. Luckily, a survivor sends out word that the hostages are still breathing. The goal now is simple: invade the island, save the crew, and close the gate. Checking his phone, the kid understands exactly what kind of nightmare he just signed up for. His eyes go wide seeing that prize pool of 55 million won. And if he runs this solo, all that cash goes straight into his own pocket. On top of the money, querying this brings a massive boost to his hero clout as a bonus. Chansok figures the risk is worth it, but he hesitates for a second. For some context, a rank 3 gate packs the punch of a military tank, except a rank 2 creature is already on the level of a walking natural disaster. In a rank 1, the whole country has to squad up just to take down a single beast. Weighing the risks, the MC realizes he might actually need some backup for this gig. Who could be useful? Soon enough, he remembers a certain someone who's perfect for the job. The shot focuses on an armored warrior holding a spear right in the middle of some thick fog. No surprises here, it's our boy Yu Chansok. Senga pops up right next to him, asking how much longer until they hit the island. Checking the route, he guesses they still have about an hour of travel left. She tells the guy to get some rest, warning him that this fight is gonna be way heavier. But then she quickly shifts gears, pointing at her partner's shoulder in pure shock. Hyped up, the girl loses it, seeing that it's the famous Iron Seraph pauldron. The kid mentions he got it as a freebie from a scavenger, making her super jealous. Flexing hard, he reminds her he soloed a rank 3 while she's just a raw rookie. Then he tells her to get stronger if she wants that same VIP treatment. Right there, the story rewinds a few days to show us how this team-up started. In the flashback, the girl gets the squad invite and accepts it on the spot. She thinks it's pure madness since a rank 2 is even crazier than the last gate. Ignoring her panic, the hero stays glued to his phone screen. Quickly, he drops the bait, asking if she doesn't want to become a legend. The kid reminds her that she admitted herself she had a lot to learn from him. If that drive is still there, he's willing to play the rookie's teacher. Under his wing, her power would multiply in an absurd way. Straight to the point, he demands to know what her final choice is going to be. She shows off a massive scar and admits she's got some serious obvious reasons to level up. Staring right back into his eyes, the hunter doesn't back down a single inch, and swears she'd clash head-on with hell itself just to gain more power. Back on the boat, a red siren goes off, pulling them both out of the small talk. The radar beeps and the shadow of an old ghost ship tears through the mist. Chan-Sok focuses his eyes and warns that there are actually 5 enemy vessels. Weighing the situation, he notices this invasion needs to be pure stealth. He drops the problem on Sanga, asking if she's got any tricks up her sleeve. Sounding challenging, he forbids the girl from making up excuses to sit this one out. The partner processes the challenge in silence, cooking up a quick plan. With a cheeky smirk, she mocks him, asking if there's actually something the master doesn't know. But he scowls while she bursts out laughing because the hero can't walk on water. Instantly, the waves crashed hard, making a bizarre noise. The truth is, the kid is just crossing the ocean, riding on the girl's back. He shoots a dead serious and lethal glare straight at the ships. Closing in, the master orders the rookie to clear out the first boat in the fleet. Following the hero's logic, the vessels in the back carry a way heavier magic aura. Giving a nod, she takes a blind leap right onto the enemy deck. Right away, the hunter goes on high alert the second her boots hit the rotten wood. A creepy shadow pops up ahead, and she hopes it's just a lost civilian. Except the MC yells from afar, telling her to pay closer attention to the target. Analyzing those footsteps, it becomes crystal clear no human walks crooked like that. Right until a freaky ghost pirate lets out a roar right in the fog. The girl balances on the edge of the boat and already draws her sword for the brawl. Never missing a joke, the master warns she's gonna bust her knee landing like that. As a result, all that noise grabs the attention of the whole skeleton army. Planting his feet firm, the kid gets ready to launch his strike. His stance shifts, and the hero's magic pressure wraps around the entire area. In the blink of an eye, a brutal blast wipes the whole deck clean. Chan-Sok chills out, seeing that those bags of bones are just the bottom-tier trash of rank 2. He turns his head, getting a bit worried if the student is handling things solo. Man, when he looks over, the crazy girl is burning through mana like there's no tomorrow. Screaming her name, pure panic hits our hero's voice. Sprinting over there, he curses out the rookie's terrible energy control. The warning is clear, she doesn't need that much raw power to drop weak enemies. He remembers his promise to make her way more efficient through hardcore training, but the girl's reckless rush makes him swear out loud right in the middle of the chaos. A massive flash sweeps away the enemies while the master just mutters a curse. Complaining non-stop, he demands she chills out with that heavy magic drain. Practically begging, the order is to dial down the output so she doesn't pass out. Sanga glares daggers at the master, completely taken over by the heat of battle. Deep down, she carries the heavy trauma of never wanting to be weak again. Back to the brawl, a blindfolded pirate jumps right at the hunter's neck out of nowhere. The freak's rotten jaw snaps open, trying to tear a chunk right out of her. Except her reaction is brutal, and the blade slices the enemy in half with a single swing. That thirst for power speaks way louder, ready to drag herself through hell if needed. Dropping the threat, the monster's bones crash onto the deck like pure garbage. Sanga takes a deep breath, surrounded by a mountain of wrecked carcasses. From the boat next door, the kid hears his student ask if the mess is over. Sighing, he lets her know he already wiped the floor with all the other ships by himself. Physically drained, she swallows her pride and admits she went a bit overboard. No one saw that coming. She drops her guard and says thanks for the tip, catching our MC completely off guard. But he just can't figure out how the Academy veterans never fix such an obvious flaw. The thing is, her raw talent scared everybody off, so he cracks a joke about it. Crying from frustration, the warrior brags she'd beat any of her old teachers. Speechless, the hero just stands there with a blank face watching her cry. Then he swears that one day his student is actually going to reach his level. With the boats cleared out, the duo finally steps onto the main island's port. The guards throw up a super respectful salute welcoming the hunters. Getting a quick report, the kid gives the support crew the green light to fall back. Mission details show that the hostages are rotting away inside the local shrine. Taking the lead, she explains there are 2 massive temples scattered around the area. Following the map's logic, the Gaijin temple is a few hours away running through the woods. And this is where it gets good. He warns that getting there is a breeze. The real hell is going to be the trip back. He explains that the 15 hostages might be hurt, making the escape way harder. Up in the air, the vibe is super tense, and the island monsters are going to hunt them down with zero mercy. So, the only chance to get the crew out safe is by scoring a ride. Spotting an abandoned van, the kid kid asks if Sanga actually knows how to drive. Believe it or not, the girl floors it and the tires squeal instantly. Our boy almost flies out the window and yells that she's a total maniac. Annoyed as hell, he asks if she forgot the brakes, but she just tells him to take the wheel then. Out of options, the MC swallows his pride and tells her to forget about it. Climbing up to the roof, he accepts that her crazy driving still beats his lack of practice. After all, our hero's specialty has always been solving problems with his fists. Right in front of the car, a drooling monster leaps straight at them, but the kid is fast and shoots a strap straight into the beast's face. The hit is solid and tears the enemy apart mid-jump. Yanking the cord hard, the thing feels just like solid steel. Quickly, the item wraps right back around his wrist. Stepping firm on the metal, he praises how tough that makeshift weapon actually is. Suddenly, a freaky noise puts the hunter on maximum alert. Screaming loud, he warns the driver that heavy trouble is coming from the left. With a crazy smile, the girl tells him to leave it all to her. Right after her foot sinks into the gas pedal and the engine roars loud, Shanso catches onto the madness and tries to stop it, but it's already too late. A giant brute tries to crush the van, wrecking the entire ground. Inside the ride, she just cracks up laughing and runs over everything with no mercy. Letting out a deep sigh, the MC wonders if it wouldn't be better if he drove instead. The whole island path turns into a wild rally race right through the woods. Now, they pull up right in front of an endless wooden staircase. Worst part is, a freaky army is rushing right behind them. He spots the shrine at the top and tells her to floor it, but she questions the horde. Playing it cool, the kid promises to hold the line, and his partner trusts the call. Just then, the passenger door violently flies wide open. Bailing from the moving car, he announces he's going to clear the path. Man, right at this moment, the hero's absurd mana leaks out of his entire body. Staring down the monsters, the choice is simple: wipe them all out. That violent aura dominates the whole area with crushing pressure. Then the paradox flame comes into play, covering all the steps. This absolute genius move straight up burns away the wood's friction. My pure magic. The ride slides up the hill like a rocket. Finally, the tires squeal at the top of the mountain, right at the front door. Inside the cabin, they bump right into the tied-up civilians. Our hero steps closer, checking if the guy is in one piece. Waking up terrified, the poor dude looks completely lost. Right then, Sana steps up, trying to play it cool, saying she's from the association. In pure shock, the civilian just trembles, crying from absolute terror. The guy's desperate scream tears right through the shrine silence. Feeling super awkward, the girl swears they're here for the rescue, but it doesn't work. He screams out loud, begging the two of them to get out of there. Confused, the hunter questions what the reason for this freak out is. Behind her, a giant samurai shadow pops up out of nowhere, except the enemy blade stops midair, blocked perfectly by the MC. Without blinking, he tells his partner to take the hostage to the van while he handles it. The brawl kicks off and the sound of heavy metal echoes through the hall. Feeling the heavy pressure, the creature is forced to take a step back. Quickly, the beast goes on the offensive, throwing all its weight at the kid. Solid as a rock, he holds off the attack without breaking a sweat. With a sudden jerk, the giant's defense is ripped wide open. The girl uses the van to run the samurai over and toss him away. Screaming loud, she announces the hostages are secured and they gotta bounce. Because of the impact, the monster ends up trapped right under the rubble. Watching that happen, the MC gets totally spooked by the girl's insane driving. Back in the car, he demands the wheel, but the crazy girl just tells him to hop in already. Speeding off again, confirming the rescue is fully done, finally eases the tension, but the peace is short-lived when the girl can't believe what's up ahead. In pure panic, she points into the dark, screaming her partner's name. Out in the woods, a sea of glowing red dots stares right at the duo. A literal wall of freaky monsters blocks the little dirt road. Looking closely, the kid notices that one of the roadkill beasts actually survived. He doesn't waste a second and asks for her sword, leaving her in complete shock. Annoyed, the girl claims that taking a warrior's weapon is a massive insult. Our MC drops the harsh truth, asking if her pride is worth more than the hostages' lives. And before she can even complain, the blade is already in our hero's hand. Gripping the weapon tight, he locks straight into dead serious combat mode. Right there, a bracelet hides the exact trump card needed to flip the script. A few days back inside the island's gate, he had found a hidden treasure. Surprised by his luck, a weird glow on the ground caught his eye. It was this super creepy metal gauntlet just left in the corner. Slipping the gear on, he instantly figured out its true potential. That freaky gadget started pulling and hoarding energy straight out of the air. In short, the thing worked as the ultimate portable battery. With the charge maxed out, it guaranteed exactly 5 minutes of pure OP power. Enough time to clash head-on with that crazy chick from the Janabi Guild on equal footing. Cutting back to the present, both weapons are totally primed for the massacre. The accessory reacts, triggering an absolutely insane burst of power. And that's where it gets crazy. A magic shockwave explodes and wipes the whole area clean. Pulling off a cracked move, our MC turns the entire beast horde into absolute nothingness. The driver gets a front row view of the show from her seat, completely speechless. Looking in the rearview mirror, she can't figure out how he sliced up so many freaks that fast. But the kid gives zero openings and readies his blade for the finishing touch. With a sharp yell, he orders the van to bounce to the port, tearing up the asphalt. Hitting the pier becomes a matter of seconds in that mad dash. However, the party is cut short because a living wall still blocks the escape route. Creatures crash onto the hood, and the hero has no clue where all these things are spawning from. Knowing the engine's limits, the girl asks to step in and fight, but gets shot down instantly. Before the argument goes on, the ride blasts straight through a barrier. It was a spell that set up a shock field, melting any beast that got too close. Blown far away, the monsters go flying like bugs hitting a bug zapper. Suspicious of this miracle, the hunter keeps her guard up. Finally, the car breaks through the blockade and leaves that hellish nightmare in the rear view. An invisible shield straight up locks down the enemies from moving any further on the road. Completely lost, she tries to figure out the trick behind this defense, until the MC's glowing rune decal on the dirt gives the whole setup away. In the flashback, the kid is shown drawing that magic defense seal on the wall. Curious about the trick, the kid simply explains it's an art to push targets away. Shrugging it off, he warns that the secret came from another world and just can't be taught. Deep down, the MC puffs his chest with pride, seeing his talents are still sharp. Sanga immediately asks if this rune works against every type of freak out there, but reality is harsh, and he confesses that unfortunately, the technique has a flaw. Simply put, the barrier doesn't hold back the royal beasts, and right then, the big boss shows up. Rocking a threatening stance, the ghost warrior mutters about duty and sacrifice. Spooked, the girl quickly turns to face that armored brute head-on. He figures out it's the mind's eye, feeling the heavy vibe but doesn't even sweat it. Recognizing the technique, the hunter remembers it's a gift for predicting lethal strikes. That leaves the girl in pure shock, unable to grasp how a dead monster could have such prowess. Seeing the girl trembling with fear, our MC grips her sword tight. Trying to calm his partner down, he guarantees the whole situation is fully under control. Quickly, the theory lesson kicks off, explaining that this move relies on pure instinct. Without blinking, the kid promises to show her firsthand how to bypass that OP defense. Man, and just like that, everything changed. The warrior senses the danger and takes a slight step back in fear. But the retreat is short-lived, and the monster rushes in, swinging that heavy blade through the air. Panicking, Sanga can't understand why the rookie is walking solo straight into his own doom. Super chill, he explains that this battle reflex only responds to aggression and fear. Playing fair, the weakness is countering those feelings with pure killing intent in the mind. That talk reminds the girl of other fancy names taught back in the magic realms. All of this gets sold by the elite like they're unreachable, almost divine powers. Right in that moment, the protagonist calmly stops dead in his tracks right in front of the target. And wouldn't you know it, the beast freezes instantly, looking like a statue frozen in time. With one simple move, the hero's lethal pressure completely shatters the armor to pieces. Staring at the scrap on the ground, the hunter states that those fighting styles are absolute garbage. He warns that chasing some fake enlightenment only builds mental barriers. Shifting to a heavier tone, he makes it clear he's got more than enough authority to judge those tactics. After all, that wisdom cost a whole lot of blood in the trenches for 20 long years. Han Sang-ab gulps hard, realizing this goofy dude is hiding some cracked power. That hits heavy, and the hunter starts questioning what she's actually doing with her life. Accepting her own weakness, she figures out she held herself back while the kid pushed beyond his limits. The reality finally sets in, and the warrior swears she's gonna ditch her comfort zone and lock in. Facing the wind, she runs a hand over her old scars and remembers her ultimate goal. Then the girl turns her face, swallows her tears, and warns him she needs a massive favor. Flashing a weak smile, she tosses her pride in the trash and asks to become the hero's official student. With fire in her eyes, the girl begs him to teach her for real. Our MC gets confused, thinking he was already doing that, but she wants more. Explaining it properly, the girl warns that just giving advice isn't gonna cut it. She admits she's weak compared to him and needs to grind hard to catch up. Hearing that, the MC questions where all this sudden rush is coming from. Without holding back, she reveals she wants to wipe the Shaddai Club off the map with her own 2 hands. That's one of the 8 deadliest gates out there, the one that swallowed the entire Himalayas. Finding that goal pretty heavy, the hero immediately guesses the motive is pure revenge, and the answer is a straight yes. She wants to get payback for her family. Right as there's that, the partner slides him a business card. RMC grabs the paper and sees it belongs to her multi-trillion-dollar company. Noticing the weight of it, he hears her explain that her grandpa owns the whole place. The kid catches onto the play and immediately asks what she wants in return. Cutting to the chase. The request is simple, becoming the very best with his help. She holds out her hand, swearing those rare elixirs are gonna help them both. Deep down, the MC knows the truth would be pretty hard to swallow. After all, his memories prove he already reached that god-tier level in the past. The kid's real goal today is just fixing this broken world. Snapping back to the present, he shakes her hand and turns down the fancy items. Instead, he asks for her help driving the van with the wounded to the doctor. Over in the office, a guy with glasses jots down the info on a clipboard. The girl asks the doctor about the hostage's condition, and he replies they're in really bad shape. He estimates it's gonna take at least a week before they can even speak. Nodding at the warning, the warrior agrees to let them rest. But our MC is already calling her over, announcing that training starts right now. Stepping outside the hospital, our hero gets ready to kick off the hardcore training session. And before throwing a single punch, he tosses a question into the air. Gripping his spear, he wants to know if she'd dodge a lethal strike. She finds the answer pretty obvious and admits to be super tough. Disagreeing instantly, he warns that it's actually possible if she pushes her senses to the absolute limit. First off, he points to his face and tells the student to sharpen her vision. Right after, he asks her to dial up her hearing to the max. All of this while she needs to pull in the smell of the surrounding area. To top it off, her skin has to feel the pressure of the environment too. Staring down his student, the rule is to fight completely in the realm of pure consciousness. The girl tightens her grip on the sword hilt, bracing herself for the workout. And that's where it gets crazy. He straight up vanishes before even finishing his sentence. Completely lost, the chick can't understand where the sudden silence is coming from. Popping up right behind her, the master grabs her blade and points out the mistake. Showing no mercy, he critiques her slow reaction and warns that instinct always comes first. The trick is moving on autopilot because overthinking in a brawl costs you big time. Taking a few steps back, he declares the end of the theory lesson right then and there. Just then, a freaky crash shakes the outside of the building. One of the guards on duty jumps out of his skin at all that noise. Running from afar, his partner complains about the guy vanishing. He pulls up yelling but freezes instantly when he spots the wreckage. Paralyzed with fear, the poor security guard just stutters at the thin air. The truth is, the MC and the girl are completely wrecking the place during their sparring session. Putting her full strength into it, she rushes in with a super heavy sword swing, but the kid blocks it peacefully, using nothing but the shaft of his spear. With a smooth move, he dodges out of the way with absurd agility. Countering hard, the girl manages to hold off the strike while everything around them gets destroyed. Spooked by the impact, she doesn't back down and grips her weapon for the clash. Blocking again, the two end up face to face right in the heat of the brawl. She feels a split second, realizing the next hit is totally unavoidable. Luckily, the guard busts in screaming the hero's name and stops the attack. Breathing heavy, the man announces that the hostage finally woke up. Our MC grumbles, thinking it was too soon, while the girl just tries to catch her breath. Spooking her, he wraps up the lesson, praising her solid defense. Leaving the yard, our MC heads straight to the survivor's room to dig up some clues. Inside the room, the rescued girl talks about a really freaky thing she witnessed. She remembers a truck pulling up to the hideout, packed with some super calm people. Chan-Sok finds the whole story weird and asks if those folks were prisoners too. Denying it right away, the victim says the beasts didn't even care about those guys. On the contrary, it looked like the monsters even helped carry the chest. He figures out the casualty setup and celebrates that someone actually made it out breathing. But the harsh truth hits hard. Nobody actually escaped from there. Senga drops her jaw, realizing they were let go on purpose. Nodding along with the theory, the MC leaves the swordswoman completely lost. He keeps it real, warning that a civilian escaping solo would be impossible. Straight up asks if that whole thing was a trap to catch them both. The girl looks over at the MC, who is boiling with pure rage. Flashing a creepy smile, the protagonist praises those guys' audacity. His partner watches his fury, figuring his pride just took a hit. Ignoring the drama, the hero asks the survivor for a few more details. Suddenly, the civilian blurts out something about a cat, confusing the hunters. According to him, one of the guys in the truck had a cat keychain on his belt. That sets off a major red flag instantly, pointing straight to the Sushima airport. Chan-Sok confesses he doesn't know the mascot, and the chick mocks him for it. Amidst some jabs about internet ads, the heavy vibe finally cools down. Arriving at the empty airport, Senga suggests heading right back to the shrine, but the hero cuts the chatter, pointing at some blue-haired dude in the ruins. This freak looks super intimidating, rocking a face completely covered in piercings. Keeping his cool pool, the MC mocks him, asking if the guy swallowed a needle. Arms crossed, the stranger calls the duo brats with massive swagger. He casually turns around and drops the fact that his name is Kim Ji-yeon. Next, the guy states his mission is taking them both in alive. At that moment, they both wonder where they're being taken and why they need to be breathing. Hearing that, the kid realizes this skill would change history. The villain pulls out a battered guy, saying he wants to show them something. With zero hesitation, he throws the poor dude into a black hole that popped out of nowhere. Confused, the girl questions why the heck he's tossing people straight into a gate. A freaky hand pops out, proving someone is climbing back from the rift. Spooked, the girl freaks out since closing the gate is the only way out. Out of nowhere, a zombie monster emerges right from the tier. Glancing over, the villain gets disappointed with the beast's low level. He delivers a heavy kick to the monster, wiping it out completely. And no one saw that coming. They get shocked seeing a human get corrupted into a beast. Fixing his belt, the villain preps himself for the brawl. With a smirk, he claims our MC and the girl would make way better material. Our MC confirms his student's dark suspicion right there, and adds that from the start, they never wanted the cash, just the hostages. The guy says he was ordered to explain to the MC who they are and what their purpose is. He claims they are the true descendants of Dangun. Plus, they live for one single ultimate goal. Dropping a powerful stomp, he actually sends the nearby cars flying up. Wicked smile on his face. He gets completely locked in for the fight. In a rapid move that looked more like a sudden flash, he kicks the floating car with absurd raw strength. From the sheer force of the blow, the ride goes flying like a missile. Looking bored, our MC asks if this grand purpose of theirs is really that big of a deal. With the whole airport standing as a silent witness, using one clean spear swing, our boy slices the vehicle right in half. The villain starts sprinting straight toward the MC. Matching the energy, our hero charges right back at the bad guy. Ready to throw a kick, he finally reveals their ultimate goal. Their mission is securing Korea's absolute supremacy over every other nation. Right after, he starts monologuing about the country's past and all the people's suffering, and spills the details on every single humiliation they took back in the day. Our MC gets spooked by the enemy's speed, who keeps dodging his strikes like it's nothing. While dodging, he manages to land a heavy kick right on the hero. Taking that massive hit, our boy goes flying from the sheer impact. Under his breath, he notes that despite the speed, the guy's power is kind of mid. The protagonist asks if they ever thought about actually saving the world. He shoots back that they don't care and have zero intention of rescuing anyone. Instantly, our MC presses him, asking why they'd risk so many lives for nothing. And that's where it gets crazy. The villain reveals they actually control the gates. Hearing that, the kid realizes this kind of skill would completely rewrite history. After all, humanity could finally go back to living a normal, peaceful life. Calling his bluff, the hero fakes interest and even threatens to hand his partner over. But the enemy declines, wondering why he'd spill secrets to some random kid. The truth slips out. They only control the basics, leaving the MC super disappointed. And that a little squad like theirs wouldn't hold that much power anyway. That comment pulls an angry, furious scream right out of the enemy. An absurd kick shatters the ground to pieces, forcing the kid to jump away. Landing back down, he realizes he might have gone a bit too far with the trash talk. His bluff to recover mana totally failed, so throwing hands is the only option left. Without the famous paradox flame, the tactic turns into a pure battle of endurance. Meanwhile, his partner was already gearing up for an attack in the back. With her sword crackling, she charges in going all out. The guy finds it funny, swearing the chick had frozen up from pure fear. But the warrior's blade just keeps sparking non-stop. Spotting that swagger, the villain mocks that she finally grew a spine. Right then, the kid orders her to fall back, knowing this fight is way too heavy. Cutting to the chase, he asks if his partner needs time to pull her move. With zero hesitation, Sungo pulls a mystery flask out of her pocket, jugging the liquid all at once. She warns she only needs 5 minutes. Then she tosses the empty glass right onto the floor. Locked in, the swordswoman steps up to take on the heat. Seeing this, the hero warns her about the risk of overloading her body. He asks for 5 minutes, promising to absolutely body the enemy right after. Looking deep into his eyes, she begs the master not to lose. The vibe in the area shifts completely out of nowhere, making the air heavy. Suddenly, a massive lightning bolt tears through the sky, lighting up even the mountains. Shielded by a barrier, the enemy tells her to take it easy. The girl cranks her magic up even more, sending sparks flying everywhere. From afar, the MC yells that she might actually delete the guy by accident. All that hype makes the fighter tremble a little bit in his stance. And in the blink of an eye, a bright flash tears right through his figure. Sana takes a deep breath, hoping she actually landed the hit. Except the guy pops up bleeding from the mouth, looking a bit confused. Floating in the air, he laughs it off and mocks the attack's weak power. In an instant, the villain spawns right above her to deliver some heavy payback. The hit is so heavy it actually makes the girl cough up blood. Our MC catches the girl, keeping her from hitting the floor. Mocking him, the guy taunts the hero by tossing that weird nickname right back. Mocking him, the guy taunts the hero by tossing that weird nickname right back. But the kid ignores it, readies his fist, and asks if he's got a death wish. Hearing that, the kid realizes this skill would completely rewrite history. Holding his partner, the protagonist mocks the bad guy's shocked face. Straight up explains he used the exact same piercing logic against the opponent. To completely clown him, he drops that any idiot would notice the setup. The truth is, the fighter was leaking pure power all over the battlefield. Thanks to that slip-up, the paradox flame came right back to our hero. Boiling with rage, the villain screams that draining magic like that is impossible. And with one devastating strike, our MC absolutely bodies the enemy, right after he dashes like lightning and chains a 16-hit combo. And the worst part comes when the fighter realizes his own heart just stopped. Sensing the end, Chansok warns that the flame drained every drop of his energy. Powerless, the enemy completely panics and screams for his leader. Man, right at this moment, a glowing arrow tears across the whole battlefield. Caught off guard, the kid turns his head on pure reflex. Using his spear shaft, he manages to block the shot, but definitely feels the pressure. From the sheer impact, our MC gets blown backward. Keeping his cool, the hero immediately asks what this newcomer's deal is. Soon enough, some dude holding a bow steps out of the shadows. The mystery guy praises the defense, revealing he was actually aiming for the kid's wrist. Gripping the tip of his weapon, he slow claps for the protagonist's raw instinct. Spotting that traditional bow, Shienso connects the dots on who's actually running the show. This freak's aura is so dense it totally embarrasses even Commander Lee's power. Reading his mind, the leader corrects him, saying it's 3 times worse, asking if he's scared. But the hero doesn't even flinch, knowing if the goal was murder, he'd already be toast. He points at the burning lackey, figuring out that a rescue is the real mission here. In the background, the poor guy just keeps melting in flames, begging for help. Cold and blunt, the boss demands that the fire be put out right this second. Taking a closer look, Chansok notices the leader's shared mana to keep his goon breathing, and he admits that first arrow spared his life on purpose just to open up a chat. Pulling the fire back, he plays along, but the guy's body is already turning to dust. The freak just lets out a weak groan before completely passing out. Staring down our hero, the hooded guy drops a super sarcastic compliment. The kid calls out the leader's coldness, shocked by how fast that rescue was. Super chill, the master warns that the goon is going to be stuck in a wheelchair now. He states that it doesn't matter if he's hurt, the only important thing is the MC staying alive. Chanso claps back with the same energy, swearing he'd rather drop dead than be a pawn. Realizing how dangerous the flame is, the villain backs off but brings up their insane feat. After all, everybody thought controlling gates was pure madness, but he proved them wrong, and with a threatening tone, he swears the protagonist is still going to be his slave. Fading away completely in a magic whirlwind, he leaves that dark promise hanging in the air. The hero just stares at the empty space left behind and mutters to himself. By the looks of it, picking a fight with this freak wasn't exactly the safest bet. That heavy vibe finally starts to fade away. Soon after, his partner walks up looking worried to pick the conversation back up. She guesses they wanted to recruit the kid, and he nods along kind of confused. The MC replies that the villains could have ambushed them way earlier in secret, but the warrior's mind races, even suspecting the government's reaction to all this. There's a massive chance the country itself is actually funding this extremism. After that, the MC tries to wrap his head around their messy gate plan. The girl admits she can't lie to save her life, and the kid says he already knew that. Focusing solely on the portal, he tells the girl to wait because he's going in solo. She gets worried and questions if staying behind is really a good idea. RMC warns that the warrior has zero clue what went down inside there, but turning his back, he guarantees he'll uncover the truth soon enough. Then, the kid tells his partner to catch her breath and heal up. Fearless, our hero steps right into the pitch-black portal. Inside, the scenery reveals the Sushima Gate, a highly dangerous Rank 2 zone. Walking a bit further, the kid stops dead right in front of the main gate. With one solid push, the heavy wood gives way. Just from touching it, the pressure confirms the Rank 2 difficulty of this place. And wouldn't you know it, the ghost castle looks way more solid than usual. A heavy energy takes over the air, almost piercing the protagonist's lungs. Following his instinct, he's absolutely sure the core is right behind there. Staying tense doesn't help, but one single slip-up here could cost his life. Crossing the entrance, a freaky shadow is already waiting for him. Right there, the hero pushes into the room and bumps into a bizarre cauldron. Creeped out by the setup, he wonders what the heck that cauldron even is. Soon enough, he suspects if that pot isn't actually the gate's true core. And no one saw that coming. A human hand suddenly pops out of the shadows. That catches our hero totally off guard, leaving the guy in absolute shock. From the dark, a super beaten-up civilian desperately begs for help. In that exact second, a creepy tentacle shoots right out of the cauldron. The poor dude cries in pain, screaming that his legs are just completely gone. Right then, the room's monster grabs the victim with zero mercy. Showing no pity, the tentacle drags the guy right back into the liquid. One final desperate scream echoes before he sinks down completely. Just a few air bubbles float up to the surface of that nasty mix. Then the whole thing boils over, drowning out any sound from inside. Out of nowhere, a hand suddenly reaches out from the cauldron. Seconds later, a ghost beast emerges right out of that freaky pot. The MC instantly pieces together the dirty trick of recycling humans into monsters. The shadow reveals an old warrior muttering some completely confused words. Trapped in old memories, the dead guy relives the agony of being tossed in the fire. That raw cruelty hits heavy, totally turning the hero's stomach. Boiling with rage, he curses the cowardice of whoever set this up. At that moment, our MC gets marked as the very next sacrifice. But as the monster closed in, it mentioned that this sacrifice was totally different, that the energy radiating off the MC was completely different from the last ones. It was the pure energy of a true hardened warrior. Ordering our MC to brace himself and draw his weapon, the dead guy promises to sharpen his katana, using the rookie as a test dummy. The weight of that aura makes Chansek wonder how those guys ever tamed this beast. Completely locked in, the samurai monster shifts into a lethal attack stance. This threat heavily suggests there's a way bigger fish pulling the strings in this gate. In the blink of an eye, the veteran dashes forward, straight up breaking the sound barrier. The rule here is simple. Blink in front of that blade, and it's game over. Barely enough time to breathe facing such an aggressive rush. Spooked, he takes a deep breath, trying to process that cracked speed. Popping up right in the MC's face, the samurai mocks the kid's luck. On pure instinct, the hero knows the tactic against beasts like this is super simple. His secret is chaining a lethal final strike before they figure out his limits. Watching closely, the beast tracks the protagonist's attack, readying its own blade to block the incoming hit. That weapon clash is ridiculously heavy, but it couldn't shatter the monster's defense. Completely in shock, our MC stares at the beast's tanky resistance, and he's mind-blown because that block was way too fast for his eyes. Impressed, the undead steps back twice to evaluate the kid's talent. In theory, that ghost strike shouldn't even be seen, much less stopped. Linking fast, a vertical slash heads straight for the MC. The katana slips through a tiny gap in his defense, slicing the protagonist's shoulder. Groaning from the damage, Chansok is left stunned by this sudden speed buff. With a laugh, the samurai praises his reflexes before drawing the sword for round 2. Full of sass, he challenges the rookie to handle the pressure this time around. Man, the smack is so hard, the kid almost coughs up his soul from the impact. Dropping to his knees, there's zero time left to even raise his guard properly. Calmly, the veteran walks over to check out the damage done to his opponent. Right away, the paradox flame bursts all over the boy's body. Resorting to magic is risky, since offensive spells usually fail against the undead. Out of logical options, he hears the old man say the duel isn't boring at all. Now the monster's curiosity is just seeing how far the hero's stubbornness goes. In a split second, he raises the katana once again, and then a vicious slash comes down, heavily wounding our MC. Chansok loses his strength, feeling like he just took the worst damage possible. Once again, the impact sweeps the kid away, dragging him across the rocky ground. Sure of his victory, the samurai sheathes his sword thinking it's all over. But no one saw that coming. The hero pops up alive right behind the beast's back, sealing his own wound with magic. The gap in the enemy's guard is crystal clear. From behind the warrior, he calculates the fight's turnaround down to the millimeter. However, the veteran sighs heavily, warning about the danger for the 1000th time. Spooked by the monster's speed, who ended up throwing a counterattack. That desperate dash was still way too slow for the creature's cracked instincts. Clearly, our MC was getting completely outmatched inside that room. At the end of the day, the blade had already pierced him, and drops stained the floor. Meanwhile, the kid's blood just keeps dripping all over the ground. The protagonist notices the blade at his own neck, without even seeing the hit coming. Terrified, he takes a deep breath, trying to wrap his head around that wild speed. Running on pure reflex, the kid dodges at the absolute last possible second. Narrowly, the veteran's sword slices through nothing but thin air. Turning his head, the samurai warns that the boy got super lucky lucky this time. Annoyed, the MC cuts the chatter, knowing the old guy went easy on him. That ghost confirms the lethal chance but says it would only happen in the past. Simply put, the creature confesses it barely remembers anything from its past life. Without those memories, his combat technique became full of flaws, and because of that, he reveals he actually lost to someone. Following the defeat, he got locked up with a chain around his neck. Our hero figures out it's his exact opposite, realizing that chain is what controls the beast. Bitter, the monster regrets losing so much, forgetting his own name and reason to fight. Everything just vanished from the old warrior's head, leaving behind only a heavy and empty sadness in his chest. Right after that, the veteran calmly sheaths his katana. The monster's heavy energy was just hovering over the place. Confused, the MC freezes on the spot, trying to figure out this weird truce. Staring at his own hands, the enemy seems to reflect on everything. Things get freaky when a black liquid starts dripping from his eyes. Even the ghost questions if he isn't looking pathetic like that. Catching onto his weakness, the kid notices the fury spiked, but the technique died. In theory, if he tanks a direct hit, his victory is practically guaranteed. To rack things up, RMC bursts his own magic, shifting into a lethal stance. They stare each other down from afar, waiting for the slightest slip-up to strike. Super confused, the old man can't understand where this rookie's strength is coming from, watching the MC heal himself with those dark flames. The beast is mind-blown and asks what kind of monster the kid actually is, gathering his power right at his fingertips. Chan-Sok starts breaking down exactly how his power works. He explains it's based on concepts, and the more complex it gets, the heavier the drain. Plus, the more complex it is, the harder it becomes to control. Right then, he remembers how OP used to be in the past compared to now. Holding back until now, he realizes saving magic just isn't an option anymore. And from this point on, he's going to go all out with his power. That monster has zero clue what he actually meant by that. Cutting the lecture short, the hero warns he's done explaining his own tricks. Then, the samurai's eyes go wide, feeling the incoming danger. In the blink of an eye, our MC rushes in hard, landing his hit flawlessly. A groan of pain escapes the creature while the spell tears through its defense. Flashing a massive smile, Chan-Sok tells the guy to figure out the rules by taking a beatdown. Deep down, he just wanted to test the limits of his new body against a heavy hitter. To set the stage, the samurai decides the castle is way too tight for this brawl. Both of them shoot up to the ruined roof, tearing through whatever was left of the building. Chaotic sparks explode in the sky with every absurd collision up above. Striking again, the samurai's force in every blow keeps getting crazier and crazier. The MC blocks the incoming attack using his spear. Surprised, he definitely feels the raw power of that hit. But slowly, the spear starts giving way to the enemy's push. Unable to take it anymore, the weapon just snaps right in half. Panicking a bit, our MC realizes he's completely defenseless in this moment. That monster claims he finally managed to break through the kid's guard. In pure delirium, the area turns into a freaky field of floating, empty rocks. Everything seems to hover in space right under this colossal, scary planet. Right in the middle of this trip, a giant boulder pops up, blocking the kid's path. The boulder's surface flashes with a glowing, lethal threat. Ignoring the danger, the kid rushes in with his weapon and shatters the target on the spot. From the detonation, a brutal wave of dust kicks up and sweeps over everything. Flying up higher, the veteran stares down at all this madness up close. With a dead serious glare, he tries to predict what the next move is going to be. Wasting no time, the hero chains a lethal jump straight toward his target in the sky. Reacting fast, the rookie summons flying swords that surround the beast. Everything clashes in an absurd boom that would deafen anyone nearby. Getting pushed back by the pressure, the monster drags its feet, shattering the rocks. The hit was so intense it launched him several meters backward. The ghost starts wondering what the heck is going on, that not even on real battlefields had he ever seen anything like this. Asking one more time who the MC actually is. A gigantic energy starts building up in the sky. Charging his power into the spear, our MC aims right at the enemy. The attack slices the enemy countless times. He screams in agony from taking such an OP strike. Glaring with pure hatred, he feels that if this keeps up, he's gonna lose again. In a moment of pure fury, the ghost rushes straight at the MC with everything he's got. Charging up his blade again, he braces for the counterattack. Our MC keeps pushing forward, cranking up the intensity of the hits even more, both of them gearing up to put an end to this brawl. With every single strike, sparks fly from the heavy weapon impacts, armor shattering to pieces, while deep cuts keep popping up on his body. At the same time, the enemy loses an arm and gets sliced completely in half. They both grit their teeth, proving this fight isn't anywhere close to over, pushing their powers to the absolute max. They hope to end it on the next strike. The flames just keep consuming more and more of that world. Suddenly, a massive explosion goes off. A memory from the past flashes by. A soldier tosses a question at the hero, asking how our MC would handle somebody way stronger than him. He replies that if someone stronger actually showed up. The anxious warrior waits for an answer. Finally, he explains only one would make it out breathing. Exhausted and flat on the ground, the brawl finally ends. The monster is stunned, realizing he just lost all over again. Bit by bit, he starts fading away, wrapping up that epic clash right there. Our MC smirks and claims he's still the strongest out of everybody. Out of nowhere, the ghost's katana drops and sticks straight into the wrecked floor. The MC pops up looking totally beat, while the samurai's shadow just crumbles to dust. And this is where it gets good. A loot chest spawns flying out of the victory smoke. Relieved, the hunter recognizes the prize, looking exactly like the chests from the old days. With a heavy creak, the chest snaps, slowly popping open its fancy lid. Deep inside, the hunter pulls out a handle so short it looks like a total joke. Gripping the crooked piece of wood, his instinct screams that this loot is sketchy. And wouldn't you know it, the thing extends into a crazy sharp spear. The genius part hits when he realizes he can extend it just by pumping mana in. Lost in thought, the kid remembers the rule about splitting the loot with the whole squad. He lacked the foresight to bring the swordswoman just so she could snag her cut of the den's riches. Then, the guild hits heavy, remembering the cracked sword the girl lost in the brawl. The starry night already takes over the sky, lighting up our duo's building. On the ground right in front of the gate, the swordswoman rests under the moonlight, sleeping peacefully without a care about enemy attacks. The MC tosses the katana to the girl, which ends up waking her up. Calling his partner softly, he guarantees it's not an enemy ambush. The girl freezes staring at the fancy sword, and he lets her know it's loot from the gate. Blown away, she tests the metal's balance before thanking him for the drop. With a sharp look, the fighter asks about the bizarre fatigue he's showing. Ignoring the concern, the rookie just warns that his mana tank hits 0. Without further ado, the kid's body drops hard right onto the cold floor. Looking at the knocked-out hunter, the girl finally realizes nobody's made of steel. After all, soloing a rank 2 dungeon broke an absurd taboo across the entire world. On the streets, folks can't stop talking about the rookie legend. Everybody just wants a selfie with the kid who's taking over the corner billboards. And out of nowhere, his phone won't stop blowing up with insane congrats from the crowd. Peeking at the street through the blinds, the hunter realizes he's become a prisoner of fame. 2 sudden knocks on the door end, the temporary peace in the closed room. A slim figure with a braid and glasses lays her cards on the table, introducing herself as Jia Shuzhong. Inviting the stranger to sit down, the hero gives thanks for the luxury paid by the tower. Super calm, the woman checks to see if the hotel is to the hero's liking. But the kid cuts straight to the chase, wanting to know the price tag for all that luxury. Wasting no time, he plays hardball for the girl to spit out her intentions right away. To ease the tension, the guest pulls out a fancy bakery box in pure style. The tablet's hologram already lights up the room with a foreign generator project. Serving up a slice of sweet cake, she kicks off her pitch with a protection plan. With his mouth full, the hunter sums the gig up as a VIP transport for the machine. She nods, swearing that this tech is going to be a massive turning point for the world. The weight of that reveal shuts the kid up, making him analyze the numbers dead serious. Intrigued, he asks if this call covers the whole globe or just the usual VIP squad. And that's where it gets crazy. She confesses that even Janabi is in the queue. In the tactical setup, the cargo crosses Russia by train to the Netherlands, then the UK. Thinking the route is straight up suicidal, the kid presses on why they're taking such a massive detour. The perfect excuse is that the English island remains untouched by the current crisis. That's because the European map already fell, crushed by the anarchy of mercenary gangs. RMC connects the dots and predicts the shield generator is a colossal target. Snapping back to reality, the woman fishes for info about the hero's travel history. Confirming his first international flight, he agrees to having her tag along for the ride. Having a friendly face on the field is cool, but leaves a bitter taste of heavy bureaucracy. Riding that wave, he points his fork and demands the swordswoman comes too. She hasn't forgotten the badass warrior who helped in that bloody island brawl. Super hyped by the recommendation, the suit accepts and puts her faith in the rookie's instinct. Shaking Yalai's hand, the kid knows his firepower just doubled. Up above, the official dock helicopter lands super heavy on the helipad. Inside the cabin, the hero can't hide his shock at the civilian elite's perks. The president smiles back, swearing to give him a blank check for future hunts. Having heavy backup like this is great and proves raw strength cleans up a lot of dirt. Hiding his hand, the kid tries to guess the level of rot the old man is aware of. He asks if the big boss prefers profiting off the crisis or ending the party for good. Stepping off, the hunter pushes the hangar door and gets a mild jump scare right away. None other than Commander Saiyan is waiting right there in the lobby. She casually jokes that the kid's crazy feats have already echoed through the whole country. Chuckling, the president warns that running from fame now is going to be impossible. On the chopper, the doubt hits heavy about them landing in a militarized zone. Finding it all bizarre, the MC finds it weird the country is backing such an independent generator. Our MC questions if she knew anything about the descendants of Dangun. To everyone's shock, the president drops the terrorist gang's name right in the middle of the chat. Chan Sok wastes no time admitting he bumped into those lunatics on the last raid. With the villain fresh in his mind, the hero perfectly grasps the fanatical logic of that crew. Dead serious, the veteran adds that the faction's main goal is to mess up the gate-clearing process. Suddenly, the legend shoves a traditional sweet into his hand, completely breaking the heavy vibe. Staring at the candy, our MC wonders why she even handed him that treat. Curious, the badass echoes the secretary's question about the kid's international travel history. Out of patience, the boy doubles down that his passport has never even seen a single stamp. Hearing that, the heroine figures this expedition is going to completely pop his moral bubble, and the chat rolls on while the aircraft tears through the orange sunset horizon. Cutting back to the war room, a voice over the radio gives the green light for the op. Over at the base, our boy flips through the mission paperwork looking completely bored. Right beside him, the heroine scans the files looking dead serious. The military general takes the lead in the meeting and starts going over the battle plan. They have 80 train cars in total, split between heavy escort and a rest zone for the squad. Our MC notices the commander scored an exclusive car, proving her elite global rank status. Getting back on track, the tower handed the core protection duties straight to her squad. Because of the massive risk, the military suit suggests the army forms a shield around the payload. A super dry no cuts the room's vibe instantly, leaving the high ranks in pure shock. Explains that hauling this cargo means dragging all the world's trash right to their doorstep. So it's strictly forbidden for any regular soldier to step anywhere near the vault. Silence takes over the table, and everybody gets tense over that highly risky rule. Awkwardly, the big shot swallows his pride and moves forward with the slideshow. Flashing a faint smile, the hunter gives the green light for the presentation to roll on. The general goes on to list the dangerous zones they are going to cross. Warns about the scavengers too, and the girl jokes it sounds like a modern Wild West movie. To the protagonist, the mat is super simple. 5 military bosses over there are straight up enemies. Got soldiers in there sweating cold just thinking about the carnage coming in the next 2 weeks. Somebody even whispers that the success rate for the suicidal gig is practically zero, but the leader hypes up the squad's morale and swears nobody needs to sweat it, promising that the train is going to hit its destination without a single scratch. Just like that, Operation D-Day kicks off on a freezing platform out in Russia. An officer barks into a megaphone, shuffling the crowd straight into the second-class train car. Shivering in the snow, folks pick up the pace to score a seat on this wild ride. From afar, the protagonist complains about the marathon it takes just to cross these endless cars. Suddenly, a hyped-up voice demands the payback for those rare elixirs right behind his back. It's Sang-Ah stepping up for her cut and asking where her partner ran off to. Without dropping his swagger, the kid brags he was chilling in luxury all the way up in first class. The warrior figures out that the VIP zone is exactly why the rookie didn't bump into the commander earlier, catching somebody calling him out. Our hero turns his head to see who it is. Right after hyping up the veteran's heavy presence, the duo gets a good evening from Sujung. Polite, the hunter drops a greeting back and praises the tower for flexing on the external armor. Being polite, the hunter says hi back and guarantees the tower went all out on the outside shield. Sang-Ah warns that all this heavy metal is a magnet for danger, but the suit puts her faith in pure uranium. Shrugging it off, the hero bets the ride is going to be a breeze with the badass leader on board. But that piece gets violently ripped away by winged freaks raining attacks on the car from the sky. Over the comms, a soldier screams out, begging for heavy backup down in car 57. Hearing that distress call, the kid curses out loud and sprints straight for the war zone. Man, it's pure madness that this ambush drops less than 10 minutes into the ride. Slicing through beasts non-stop, he realizes Commander Si-Un is heavily messed on the front lines. The real nightmare is that the tracks are broken, and the repair crew is fixing them while the train moves. Because of that stupid setup, the top-tier fighter is stuck playing babysitter for the builders in the back. Our hunter boils with pure rage, wanting to choke out whatever clown drafted this garbage tactic. And taking out his frustration, he completely crushes a flying beast with one hit on his way over. staring up at a sky swarming with monsters. The reality hits that his day off is officially dead. Far away from the tracks, tearing through the snow, a freaky land shark swallows an entire patrol. A heavily armored brute catches the scene and grumbles something weird in his own language. Soon enough, he spots a guy in traditional gear and wonders what the heck he's doing out there again. At that moment, the land shark locks onto the mercenary and lets out a creepy roar. And just like that, everything changed. Hayun pulls off an absurd dash right through the heavy snow. Nikolai steps up and straight up flattens the freak with an insanely heavy punch. Brutal enough, the impact instantly turns the monster into pure dust on the spot. Complaining about the jump scare, the giant curses at the intruder, who just drops a sarcastic reply. Straight to the point, he mentions he brought a little side gig for the boss of this turf. The Russian grumbles that the beast was supposed to be his dinner but just turned into a headache instead. With pure disgust, the suit tells the brute to clean up and clowns on the local menu. Completely out of patience, the armored freak demands the mission details and says he doesn't even want cash. The Asian guy already knew that, but swears this new offer is gonna hype the mercenary. Lets him know a fully loaded train is gonna cut right through the area in a few days. To the Russian, that sounds like a joke since the Trans-Siberian tracks are basically scrap metal now. Firing back, the Asian dude reminds him that hunters can patch up anything using magic. Confused by the logistics, Nikolai asks if the repair work and the travel are happening at the exact same time. C-In had warned earlier that moving this payload is like pulling all the world's trash toward them. Cold as ice, the villain makes it clear the cargo doesn't matter. The real target is the VIP escort. Man, right at this moment he drops the candy lady's name, leaving the giant completely shocked. Immediately, the brood guesses the ally set up a trap for her, and the villain drops a wicked smile to confirm. Chuckling hard, the boss thinks throwing hands with a legend is going to be one hell of a good time. But Hayun kills the vibe, explaining the goal isn't just rushing in for a direct massacre. He strictly forbids blowing up the main car, calling the giant brute completely ignorant. The actual hustle is breaking into the vault to plug a hacked terminal straight into the machine inside. With an evil smirk, the mercenary asks if he can wreck the place afterward and gets the green light. Super hyped up, Nikolai lets out a massive roar, accepting the crazy gig on the spot. That sadistic promise makes it crystal clear nobody is walking out of Siberia in one piece. Back on the moving train, the hero just keeps grinding the monsters down with his spear. The rookies stare in absolute awe as the kid drops hundreds of freaks without even breaking a sweat. Exhausted, our MC stabs his weapon into the roof, standing over a mountain of wrecked beasts. Hearing the rookies praise him, the kid notices they actually think he's scarier than the monsters. In his mind, there's zero chance this weak squad survives the heavy grind of the full trip. Simply decides to handle the whole mess completely solo just to secure the win. Close by, the swordswoman snaps a recruit awake, warning that dropping their guard means an instant body bag. Laughing at her tough attitude, the hero admits his partner is the only reliable hunter in this whole squad. Man, and wouldn't you know it, his instinct screams about an absurd danger completely out of nowhere. Terrifyingly, a massive wall of heavy snow starts crashing down toward the tracks. Thinking it's just a normal avalanche, the train's control room orders the crew to keep pushing forward, but the commander's dead serious voice cuts right through the conductor's radio instantly, orders them to slam the brakes right now, demanding absolute attention from everybody on board. Standing up on the roof, she locks her eyes on a shadow in the distance and calls out an ambush. A completely destructive flash tears across the landscape, aiming right at the heavy engine car. That absurd blast is flying in to melt the entire side of the metal train right off. Gripping her colossal sword, the badass veteran grits her teeth, ready to block that lethal strike. Spinning perfectly, she counters the rush with a strike just as heavy. The rebound blasts the mountain back, kicking up a creepy smoke cloud. Startled, the girl questions the source of the chaos, but the hero already knows who did it. Judging by the attack pattern, he blames that crazy gang led by Nikolai. Up at the front, the leader suspects these guys already marked her as the main target. In the blink of an eye, dozens of freaky papers fly right around the heroine. That stuff covers the whole space, crackling with a bizarre and super lethal pressure. Caught off guard, Yoon tries to figure out where this oppressive trap came from, and without warning, the sheets detonate into an impenetrable magic cage right around her. All the oxygen inside seems to fry under the force of this weird witchcraft. Spotting the dangerous flash from afar, the swordswoman goes on maximum alert. With a shaky voice, the girl fears the worst just happened to the squad's boss. Trapped in the snare, the legend solves the riddle of this cheap shot real quick. To sum it up, they just sealed the most dangerous woman there inside a force field. Stepping up, our MC relays the terrible news over the radio to everybody. He gives it to them straight. The train is surrounded, and the commander is locked out of the fight. The radar pings 500,000 million problems, meaning 500 mercenaries are incoming. Even with that crushing disadvantage, the kid declares that backing down was never an option. From inside her prison, the master lets out a fierce yell, sending the crew on the hunt. Right then, the boy pulls his friend into the brawl and she matches that same crazy energy. The background characters drop their jaws seeing two rookies facing down an entire army. Getting their act together, the rest of the squad jumps into the crossfire so they don't look bad. Pure rage defines the heroine as she swears to get back to the front lines as fast as possible. And that's where it gets crazy. Hyun spawns on the roof mocking her, saying escaping just ain't happening. Glaring at the freak through the cracks, she demands to know if this nonsense is his fault. Without missing a beat, he reveals he carries the blood of the same elite clan as the heroine. Flashing a mocking smile, he drops that they're cousins and tries playing friendly at the worst possible time. Running out of patience, Seiun lands a super heavy impact right against the invisible barrier. The clash unleashes an absurd recoil wave that shakes the entire metal frame of the train car. But no one saw that coming. Her colossal weapon simply snaps right in half. Poking fun, the fake cousin warns that the wall is tough and tells her to give up already. Cold and unbothered, the hunter asks what the big deal is about losing a piece of metal. Suddenly, the fancy ring on her hand shines bright, flashing like a lighthouse in the blizzard. The freak's smile vanishes instantly, realizing he totally forgot to scout that accessory. Like pure magic, an identical blade grows out of nowhere, to the guy's absolute terror. This so-called mirror ring is a super rare trump card that rebuilds broken weapons on the spot. Calling the woman stupid, he doubts she'll break the wall, but the legend just mocks him right back. Flashing a weak smile, she warns that with all that attitude, he's never getting a girlfriend. And right away, the veteran pushes forward, tearing through the wind with her brand new weapon. Deep in the middle of the chaos, the kid already keeps his ears open. The mercenary makes fun of the tiny squad, trying to face down his entire army. Overflowing with swagger, the giant brute orders everybody to drop their steel if they want to walk out of there in one piece. But our MC takes a step forward, calling the combat responsibility onto himself. Sanga explains that his suit flies and translates languages without using a single drop of magic. Then the hero finds it super weird that a Russian mob boss is rocking Korean military gear. Trembling slightly, the girl sweats cold, wondering if she has the guts to drop another human. Straight to the point. The boy tells her to fall back as she can't handle the heat. She snaps right back, reminding him that the rookie doesn't have any experience with this either. To the kid, an armed enemy rushing in is just like a monster. There's zero difference. Out of nowhere, one of the brute's goons charges straight at the duo. The swordswoman steps back on reflex, while the hero pushes in for a head-on clash. Looking at his partner, he tells her to do what's necessary without letting the guilt hit. With an icy glare, he warns that the remorse fades away in just a matter of weeks. The sound of war completely takes over the place with screams everywhere. That noise of clashing steel keeps echoing heavy outside. Right in the middle of the carnage, the vibe boils with pure survival instinct. Our MC wrinkles his nose, finding all this slaughter completely pointless and dirty. But ironically, the hero's body is absolutely loving this insane adrenaline. Cracking his neck, he locks his sights on the very next target of the massacre. A recruit yells that the enemy horde just won't stop pushing the squad into a corner. Soon enough, the MC takes one look and figures out the perfect play to stop this wave. This is where it gets good. He breaks into a sprint, aiming straight for the brute's head. The Russian sees him closing in and immediately recognizes the freaky Asian rookie's fame. Surprised by his international fan club, the kid eats a heavy counterattack right to the jaw. That brutal punch sweeps the boy into the air, smashing right through the train car's metal. Laughing loud, the mercenary calls the Koreans weak but gives props to his speed. Without a single scratch, the stolen armor tanks the hit with a smile. Our MC quickly realizes that popping this armored sardine can open is going to take some serious sweat. Or rather, it would be tough if he hadn't already farmed absurd levels back on the island. With fire in his eyes, the hero unleashes a violent combo right onto the villain. The mercenary takes the worst of it and calls his opponent every name in the book out in the snow. Stepping back in pure anger, the giant preps a massive cannon on his armor's arm. Except the boy gets suspicious, noticing the Russian limited the damage on purpose. The truth drops that the bad guys don't want to blow up the foreign machine on the convoy. If the leader wasn't shielding everything, the payload would turn into scrap in a single mistake. Military suit, a Russian leading, blocker seals. This conspiracy is the real deal. Knowing for sure the data leaked, the kid batters the brute with pure rage. And wouldn't you know it, the purple paradox flame coats the hero's spear instantly. The sacrifice is burning his own spear just to slice the Russian's armor right in half. In a tearing spin, the hunter sinks the cut straight into that special metal, catching the guy completely off guard in pure shock. Blind with fury, the giant roars, calling the hero a rat, and throws a heavy punch back. Easy money, the MC dodges smoothly and sets up 16 strikes of the blue technique. That combo hammers the mercenary's plating like a jackhammer, totally out of control. Right then, the villain freezes up, feeling the brutal impact leaking right into his body. Cracking his invincible shell, the Russian starts panicking and looking for some space. In pure desperation, the guy cries for mercy, swearing he'll help break the commander out. But the hero is completely deaf to his whining and keeps battering the scumbag's head. Split right in two, the ultra-tech gear just couldn't take it anymore. Cold and cocky, the kid flashes a smile announcing the enemy's total failure, and swears he doesn't need help from a trash mob, stepping hard on the armor's leftovers. At that exact moment, Saiyan kicks and completely shatters her cousin's magic cage. The entire criminal gang freezes in fear, seeing their boss kick the bucket, while others celebrate the MC's badass victory. From afar, he double-checks that the commander is absolutely wiping the floor with the enemies. The veteran bodies whoever steps in front of her with zero mercy. Wrapping up the nightmare, the train just stays stuck right out there in a blizzard. The surrounding scenery feels super heavy with the horrible aftermath of that shootout in the snow. Whoever is left standing gathers on the tracks, breathing a sigh of relief that the chaos is over. Right then, Saiyan praises the rookie's performance and already shoves another sweet in his hand. Taking the treat, he checks if that mage from earlier was with the terrorist gang. Without missing a beat, the leader complains that the coward bailed when the barrier broke. RMC just shrugs and unwraps the candy to eat, spooking the rest of the squad. Casually, he chews on the thing, leaving the hunters completely shell-shocked. The crew calls the kid crazy for scarfing down such a rare item. Not getting the drama, the hero hears the boss laugh, saying only he'd have that kind of guts. He fires back, but finds out folks collect these little candies just for pure status. Cutting the chatter short, the hunter's eyes lock onto the army's movement. In the background, the official troops rush to recover the villain's broken armor. The weird part is the Russian mercenary having free access to a top-secret South Korean project. For that to happen, either these guys are challenging the government head-on with zero fear of payback, or the military elite itself is straight-up funding this terrorism. Suspicious, the hero doesn't trust anybody else wearing a uniform in there. Far away from the snow, the seal master stumbles into a traditional village. Breathing heavy, the guy can barely stand up from pure exhaustion. Leaning against the wall, the mage regrets burning all his magic on that trap. Out of nowhere, that hooded captain shows up congratulating his lackey's hustle. The goon begs for forgiveness over the slip-up, but the boss brushes it off, saying mistakes happen. Speaking softly, the villain tells him not to hang his head and just focus on catching his breath. Demands only that the goon keeps his chin up and the faction's pride intact. Meanwhile, at the enemy base, an elevator shoots straight up, tearing through the 81st floor. Inside the cabin, the disguised boss regrets losing another soldier on the board. He boils with rage, knowing that if he understood the black fire, he'd have killed our hero. And the metal box finally breaks, opening its doors right into the restricted area. The hooded guy crashes the research lab, screaming for Dr. Gonwoo. Chewing on a snack, the scientist turns around asking what the visit is about. Wasting no time, the leader demands results, and the doc warns the job takes a long while. Cold and calculated, the villain orders the crew to focus only on reverse engineering the generator. Money isn't an issue for these guys. The absolute order is to step on the gas. Back on the Siberian train, the kid feels the heavy toll of the long trip on his back. Hitting the tracks again, the convoy pierces through the blizzard once more. In the main car, the soldier lists 15 casualties, wiping out a third of the squad. The commander gulps hard with her arms crossed, weighing the toll of the massacre. Focusing on the wounded, she demands quick bandages and urgent contact with Warsaw. A cadet questions who calls the shots in Poland and hears the name Mazurka. Without blinking, the legend orders the radio to ping the guy's guild for clearance. The rookie doubts the warlords are gonna help out that easily, but the legend guarantees they'll be begging for backup in the future. Right then, the message drops at the Esprit Guild HQ over in Poland. The crew is completely stunned by the summons sent from Janabi, except the hunter. Robert flips out and tells her to go kick rocks. Trying to calm things down, a partner reminds him of the candy lady's heavy clout. Blind with rage, he thinks jumping into the fire for some random chick is pure madness. Then another warrior steps up and accepts the mission on the spot. Cursing out his partner, Robert tries to drag the hunter's rep through the mud, and when you know it, he turns around to see the entire squad dead silent. Completely clueless, the guy's left lost by the sudden mutiny. A redhead warns she'd rather pay the fine and quit than refuse. Robert grumbles, thinking fame doesn't make her anyone special. Cutting the chatter, an ally defends that the leader actually is built different. The whole group owes their lives or careers to the Veterans Foundation. If everybody quits, the entire guild is going straight down the drain. Pressured to cave in, the boss swallows his hatred, cursing on the inside. He can barely believe the massive influence that warrior actually holds. Far from there, the heroine watches the snow through the train window. Worried about the wounded, she fears what the next 5 days will bring. The only move now is to hope the trip goes on without any fresh hiccups. Except the sirens blare, announcing a rank C invasion. Over the loudspeaker, the conductor warns that slimes are hot on their trail. Immediately, the order goes out for everybody to take battle stations. Desperate, some random guy finds it bizarre having those jelly blobs out there. The commander herself finds the sudden spawn of those pests in the snow super weird. Not getting the tension, the kid asks what a slime even is. Someone sums it up saying they are rank 1 beasts straight out of Brodsk. The math isn't mathing since that city is 600 kilometers away. Ian deduces the gate swallowed everything and predicts a massive nightmare. In the rush, a recruit questions the danger level of these beasts. They instantly freeze and shatter whatever gear they touch, and the nightmare gets worse when the shooters aim at the nasty pack. On command, a rain of arrows tears through the air toward the targets. Man, right at this moment the shots hit the jelly and do absolutely nothing. The dirty secret is that these freaks can tank any spell. Shansok figures out that both physical arrows and magic are totally useless here. Freaking out, shooters warn the beasts are gonna swallow the train whole. Staring at the chaos, the legend realizes the mission is at total risk. Completely shell-shocked, the platoon spirals into absolute panic. With a serious scowl, the kid leans against the edge of the train car. Quickly, he asks for permission to test out a trick with the bow. Wasting no time, he snatches the weapon and tells his partner to channel magic into it. Curious, the heroine watches the kid's crazy plan unfold. His logic is super simple. If the shield is made of magic defense, just delete that rule off the map using the famous black flame. In the blink of an eye, the lethal shot sinks right into the creature's chest, and the purple fire straight up melts the protection like it's nothing. All that cracked defense turns to dust right in front of everybody. Blown away, the bow's owner can't even believe what he just saw. Deep down, the MC knows he lacks the control to burn down the entire area. He tells the crew to fire as soon as the flames spread through the horde. Smirking, the veteran figures out his talent bypasses the normal rules. With the path cleared, she jumps off the train car, thirsty for combat. The colossal sword slices the enemies up like they're just paper. Hyped up, the rookies finally see a light at the end of the tunnel. She checks the target count and finds out there's only one giant freak left. Staring down the massive shadow, the legend gets butterflies in her stomach. And that's where it gets crazy. The gigantic beast leaps up to crush the train. Slicing it won't work, since the sheer weight of that thing would destroy everything on impact. The rookie hunter measures the brutal mass and the ice aura falling down on them. For any normal person, it'd be the end of the line right then and there. But for our boy, the answer is just ridiculously easy. Channeling it all, he declares that even mountains turn to dust. Stunned, the boss watches the kid completely break the world's logic. Sana's jaw drops at her partner's ridiculous OP power level. In that freezing moment, some real hope finally blooms among the troops. Seeing his weapon change shape, the hero jokes about it tasting like glue. His weird charisma actually makes the crew believe they can save the world. Led by the heroine, the journey cuts through Siberia just grinding beasts down. Next stop is Warsaw, a 3-day break for the wounded folks. Finally, some good news. The local factions are gonna grant them access, but a recruit questions if the rest of Europe also gave the green light. Keeping it real, she warns that silence completely rules the continent. At least Warsaw was on the map, and soon enough the train pulls in. Stepping off the ride, the MC remembers the country used to seem peaceful. However, the reality at the station is pure war and misery. Bodies scattered across the floor show the total ruin of the place. Looking around, there's zero grass left, proving they burned everything to survive. Creepily enough, the veterans just stare at it with cold indifference. Out of nowhere, a suited guy pops up calling the hero by his name. Speaking flawless Korean, the dude introduces himself as Officer Polanski. Full of fake politeness, he offers a ride straight to the VIP quarters. The shock hits hard when the two of them hop into a luxury limo. Watching the crowd split up, the kid figures out they're dividing folks by status. Right then, the foreigner points out the boy doesn't owe anybody anything, and drops the bait, offering a lifetime of perks for working right there in Poland. Admitting the base is poor, he swears to hand over absolute power anyway. That promise means luxury and partying above the law right in the middle of this ruin. With zero morals, the mobster offers total control and cruel benefits. Boiling with disgust, the MC just imagines the damage a single punch would do. Hours later, the heavy night falls right over the city's rubble. That so-called promised VIP room turned out to be a busted, gloomy dump. Man, the worst cheap motel back in Korea had to be better than this hole. At least the bathroom is clean enough to wash off the smell of combat. And the hyped-up VIP banquet is just a pile of canned food on a table. 3 sudden knocks on the door break the silence and put the kid on high alert. Opening it a crack, Secretary Shu Jung pops up laughing for no reason. Super awkward, she admits her room had some weird technical problems. To sum up her boldness, she shamelessly asks to borrow his shower. Next, the secretary takes advantage of the hot water to finally relax. Apologizing for the intrusion, the kid just says that's what partners are for. The vibe shifts when she warns she needs a heavy favor in return. Straight to the point, the girl asks why all the food here came from Korea. He just stays dead silent for a second, trying to process the question. Soon enough, he drops that it's all because of their own country's current politics. Their government's whole hustle is hoarding the best global resources for themselves first. Eating up all the premium stuff, they just shove the leftovers back to the foreigners. Sujong reminds him that crossing the Asians means losing the hunter's backup. Exactly. Without that magic protection, nobody can grow crops or mine anything. As a result, the European folks only get actual trash and stale food on their plates. That harsh reality makes our hero scowl big time. But what about the humanitarian aid cargo the train itself is hauling? The secretary questions if the locals are gonna be eating rotten potatoes too. Fully dressed, the girl steps out of the room dropping a massive truth bomb. Revealing the dark secret, she says that food is just recycled compound powder, number 65. Man, this is where it gets good. That slop is pure, dried, and crushed organic trash. Hearing that absolute nonsense, the MC is left completely speechless by the cruelty. The truth is, she can't understand why a rich country only sends garbage food. Put simply, the high-value items never actually reach the folks starving to death. Holding the can, the kid asks who would even loot cargo from the miserable. Fact is, local factions snatch it all up to eat or trade for more firepower. And at the end of the day, nobody punishes these scumbags in this ruined world. In that exact second, it clicks and he realizes this current planet is rotten to the core. It's actually wild to think there are people wanting to keep this hell going forever. Wiping his blade, the hunter decides exactly what he needs to do from here on out. Without hesitating, he takes a step straight toward the secretary. His dead serious glare spooks the girl when the kid asks for a massive favor. Far from there, the Hamburg military base over in Germany is swarming with soldiers. A giant dude marches right across the completely wrecked courtyard. That's Daniel Lewis, the Kaiser boss, screaming to figure out the chaos in the area. Shaking in his boots, a recruit warns that the Korean Shansok is demanding backup for the train. Furious, the German leader threatens to report the hero to the association right then and there. No one saw that coming. The kid just casually tosses a beaten-up mercenary onto the ground. Screaming with pure hatred, the big boss curses the kid out and asks if he's got a death wish. With his hand out, the MC mocks him and tells the guy to try his luck. He quickly claims that throwing hands is the only way to save his own skin. But hey guys, if you liked it, smash that like button to help the channel and catch the next part of this video.